we need to pay you a higher rate now, Lucy, now that you're globally recognized host, Summer Games host? I think that show actually had, like 65 million viewers or some shit, according to Jeff's metrics.
Yeah, that's crazy. Way to be on the big one.
I know.
Do you think this podcast is going to get 65 million views, Lucy? You're really slumming it. You're really slumming it down here with us, Luce. You really let your standards slip.
She's getting all bashful.
Yeah. Honestly, no. I'm really glad that I kind of did not think about how big that show was going to be while I was hosting, because otherwise
it'd be scary.
Absolutely fallen over. And yeah.
I mean,
but no,
absolutely.
seeing Jeff's post about how many people watched it, I was like, holy.
It is pretty crazy. Like,
do you want to hear something crazy? What? Like, we say it out loud. Like, Resident Evil 9 was announced, and then you walked out.
Yeah.
How crazy is that?
That is nice.
That's
that
insane.
is very cool. And then Jeff's like, she didn't see that before. You know?
It's true. I didn't.
It's like those scenes in like Andor where shit happens. It's like the actor didn't know that he was about to shoot that fucking FSB agent, you know?
I actually have an update from last episode, by the way.
Oh.
Do you remember in our fugue state, middle of the recording, I was talking about those sleep stories that I started listening to.
Oh, yeah. Like, someone mentioned those in the comments as well. Yeah.
And I was like, I feel like these are really weird. Someone in the comments, so if you missed it in last episode, I found all of these stories and it was like, here's what it's like to be a Victorian person in an asylum, or here's what it's like to have the Black Plague. And it's like this story. And it's
just great stuff to fall asleep to.
Honestly, they are really good to fall asleep to. I looked into it. It's just all AI slop.
It's all AI.
And then the thing that really got me was I was listening to one of them, and they said the context of the sentence, it should have been tear up, and they said tear up, and I was like, wait a minute.
It's like when my mother-in-law walks up to me and shows me something on her phone. It's like a ladybug the size of a semi-trailer. She's like, look what they found. And I'm like,
I felt so stupid. I deleted it off my phone.
That's not real. You know, they're like, but it's a video. And I'm like, I don't think I can explain to you how we got here, but that's not real. You know?
So you know what I've replaced it with? Don't know if you can see it.
No one can see that.
The History of Rome by Mike Duncan.
Excellent.
We've got, hang on. We've got.
That's a lot of scrolling.
179 episodes tracking the whole history of the Roman Empire from the very beginning.
You're going to have so much to talk about on dates with dudes.
I just got to the bit where like there was a dark part of Roman history where all of the history that like basically either didn't get recorded or it got destroyed, and now we're at the part where it's actually properly recorded. It's very exciting.
You are literally like both like what would you call like a promising young woman and a 50-year-old man.
That's right.
I going through something. So much Magic the Gathering.
Oh my God, Lucy, what is happening? This is all very dire, to be honest with you. I'm going through my Roman history / Magic the Gathering phase. Okay. All right.
But at the same time, you know.
It's interesting. It's fun. I agree.
I've got a lot of cool little facts about the Roman Empire that I can share. I now know that there was the plebes and then the rich nobles who were all descended from the 100. Yeah, okay, well,
yep,
look,
that's
the
it.
Roman Empire is really interesting, and I can understand why it was such a meme. Anyway.
Why men think about it. Why men think about it at least once a week, I believe, was the thing.
It's wild. I love history, especially ones that it's real and not made of AI crap. Hi everyone.
Never listened
to
Dan Carlin, Hardcore History.
I do. I have listened to him.
It's good.
I love his delivery. It's just great diction.
Yes.
Love it.
I really like history.
What's your favorite history?
My favorite history used to be. I was really into Egyptology. I really wanted to be an archaeologist for a while. Or like Tudors.
Oh, really? Yeah, I can understand you. Tudor history, yep.
Tudor history. Well, the thing is that I'm from the northeast of England, so we had Hadrian's Wall right there. Sure. We had Segadunum. We had a bunch of forts. My stepmom was actually a voice actor in one of those Roman forts for something. Like they had like a bunch
one
of these
like
little
the tour.
dioramas. And one
that's
time I
cool.
just walked in and I just heard my stepmom's voice and I was like, what?
That's crazy.
Just listening to the 3DS version of the tour,
Yeah.
pumping through your ears.
I don't know if she still is, but she also used to be. Here's one for Geordies. She was the voice of Fennec, the department store. So in the store will be closing in 15 minutes is my stepmom, or at least it used to
That's
be.
awesome.
Very nice.
So,
We used to have to do that manually at the store I worked at. You would have to go on the loudspeaker and be like,
Yeah,
everybody
yeah.
get the fuck out in 5 minutes. It was great.
I did see a good TikTok of a guy, and he was working at a grocery store in Scotland, and he goes, "Big Brother house, this is Davina, like, get out. We are closing."
That's great.
Anyway, video game podcast. Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Friends per Second.
We made it.
We're back in the usual spots. We're all back at home, all recovered from Summer Game Fest, pretty much.
No, I still have videos I got to put out. I'm behind.
I've still got so many videos to put out on Summer
Yeah.
Games Fest, and the plan is actually to put them out in July
Oh,
because
wow.
yeah, well, I mean, I've got Claire Obscure, which should be up by the time this is live. So
If I see another "Where's
Congrats.
the Claire Obscure"
I
video
know.
in the comments of this podcast,
totally,
I'm
fucking
so
hell.
excited to watch that because
It started to leach over to me. I hate it. People were like, "Okay, Jake, when are you going to make a video?" I was like, "Whoa, leave me out of this." Like, so thank you for putting
strays
out
out
a video.
here. Yeah. But then after that, I'm going to do some Switch 2 coverage, and then after that, I got to do Death Stranding,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and then after that, there's not much that's coming out in July. So it's actually that's why I plan to do a lot of my summer games.
Eric's Home
then.
is coming out in July 15th.
Yeah, actually, you into that? Are you?
Yes, I'm very into
Cool,
it.
great, yeah,
Yeah.
fantastic. I've been tracking that since day dot. I actually interviewed the developers. Really promising, really promising looking title. It's called Eric's Home. If you've missed it, CRPG. Imagine like a Plague's Tale. A Plague Tale, but like in an isometric perspective and with a different setting, and
Yep.
you know, like
Alright.
it's that kind of stealthy, narrative-driven stealth game thing, but just made with a lot of love, and it just looks really
Okay.
cool. So,
Oh, the
Alright.
levels are like super dense, super detailed. Really, it's would you phrase this? It's like it's not. It's easy stealth.
yes,
In
Like
that,
Desperados, like that type of thing.
no, that's hard. That's like hard.
Okay.
The point
Yeah.
of this game, I think it is more like that Plague Tale thing, where it's
Yes.
like it's not meant to be super challenging. It's meant to be kind of just an overall gameplay loop that allows you to move through the story, you know, and sell that. That's my vibe. I don't know.
yeah, I posted on Blue Sky when I played it. I was like, maybe it is just because I play a lot of stealth games, but it just feels very designed. Like you can feel the hand of the designer kind of pointing you through it as you play it, and I don't mean that as any kind of slight. But it just means that there's not as many close encounters, skin in your teeth situations as I would have liked. But demo's really good, and it does transfer over to the main game when it launches
Beautiful.
next month. Because
Actually, that is an interesting question. Let's see. Like, what is actually out next month on my schedule that I maintain? Mecha Break is on the 1st of July,
Cool.
which is quite big actually, because there's like a lot of interest in
massive,
that.
yeah.
The player counts are big. Tony Hawk. Yeah. Destiny 2, Edge of Fate. Man.
What is that? Is that the Star Wars one? Sorry.
What a sad fucking question. I hate
Wait,
that you
I
have
thought
to
the final
ask
shape.
that.
I thought the final shape was final.
Yeah, that's exactly right. No, this one is it is another expansion. But like there's so little hype for it. I don't want to get bogged down in Destiny discussion because I know people actually genuinely
next?
don't like it when I talk about Destiny at this point. They're like, bro, it's over, move on. But there's so little
Shadow Labyrinth.
literally moving me on. The point
Wait,
is,
Grounded 2 early access.
oh, is that next month? Is it?
Fucking hell, Tales of the Shire is next month.
I know, I saw that. Yep. Donkey Kong as well is next month.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Oh, yeah,
And
Big Direct.
also,
Yeah,
Wildgate, that Blizzard game, is not when I say Blizzard game, ex-Blizzard staff have made this thing, and it's very cool and very fun. So yeah, but like I think most of those are sort of, I don't know, they're smaller releases, and the overall cadence of them does give me some time to circle back and do some of that Summer Games coverage, which I'd like to do because I do want to
Catch up
shout
on
out. I do want to
Mindseye.
talk about Crimson Desert some more, which was one of the most insane demos I ever played in my entire life.
Yes, me too. Yeah.
Oh, I
Wait,
didn't
we
get to
didn't
play
talk
it,
about
but
it. We didn't
Yeah, I
talk
was
about it
gonna
on
say-
the last episode.
No.
Did we talk about mixtape? Because I really want to talk about mixtape.
We did.
I can't remember. I don't think we did
did.
actually.
Can
Because I didn't get to
apologize?
play it until the Monday.
Can you what? What'd you say? What'd you say, Jay?
Can I apologize to the audience because I thought we talked about Crimson Desert in that podcast, so I put it in the thumbnail, and we did not talk about it.
Oh,
Sorry.
okay, right.
Sorry.
We talked about so many
Public
games. It's so
apologies.
hard.
Yeah, there was a lot.
Straight up.
Wait, so Crimson Desert, do you both play it?
Oh man,
Oh man,
did I play it?
Jesus Christ!
What a fucking
It's
respectfully, what a mess.
Oh.
what a wow! Yeah, it's
Yeah.
so hard to talk about because it really is
It's
the most
cool.
batshit insane demo I think I've ever put my hands on.
Let me pitch you this.
Go on.
Imagine you run through a massive open world, and then you get into an almost Souls-like style boss battle with another guy with a big sword,
Mhm.
and then suddenly the person walking you through the demo says, "Oh, actually, you can activate Tears of the Kingdom Ultra Hand." In the
What?
middle of that battle to pick shit up and bonk him on the head. There's so many systems in this game.
Oh
it's
my God.
crazy.
Well, so for GameSpot, we sent Max Blumenthal, who is our like Breath of the Wild Tears of the Kingdom
Oh, yeah,
specialist,
sure.
and he like
Of course.
yeah,
No, because
he was
the move to be able
having
to
a
pick,
lot of fun with that.
yeah, the move to be able to pick up that pillar is the pillar's on the ground. There's like a boss battle, and you have to stun him first of all by just beating on him for a bit. When he's stunned, you then need to go over to a pillar. You need to
Oh,
press
pillar.
like two, like a big cement pillar.
Like
no, I
he
thought
knocks
you were
him
saying,
down.
I thought you were saying peeler for some reason. Like
No.
a peeler.
No. Yeah, so then you need to press like two buttons to activate a certain mode, and then you
Right.
need to target this pillar on the ground. Then you need to press another button to kind of
Make it
begin the
float up.
process. And then you need to spam a different button to like lift it and hoist it up onto your shoulder. And
Then
then
it's
once it's
equipped.
on your shoulder, you then need to walk over to this guy and aim it at him, and then you need to press it down, which sounds simple as we described it. But
It's a
believe me when
lot.
I
It does
tell you.
not sound simple.
Well,
What are you
Like
on
when you
about?
actually are going through this in the middle of a boss encounter, and you have a limited window to do this as well,
Yeah.
because he's only stunned for a certain amount of time.
And you've never played the game before.
And you never played the
also.
game before. But it's actually just broadly like representative of just how many mechanics there are in this game. There's like a mechanic where you can slingshot onto like trees and use them so you can then glide. But there's a grapple button which will swing you around and carry your momentum. But there's also a slingshot button which allows you to continue forward. And it's like, did those need to be two buttons?
Yeah.
No,
No.
the answer to that question is no.
There's a
Like you could have
lot.
figured out a way to compress that. But there's just so much of that. And the combat, oh my God. The combat is like, imagine all the depth and complexity of an MMO character with all like a hot bar full of like 10 abilities or more, all crammed into like one control scheme. And oh man. So again, none of this is necessarily a criticism,
No.
because I think what they've actually built is a really deep and interesting game
Mm.
that, you know, when you get to grips with it, could be really rewarding. But when you encounter it for the first time in a demo, it is impenetrable. Like it's
It's overwhelming.
truly impenetrable.
Yeah.
yeah.
Well,
So-
not exactly mad that I missed that one, to be honest.
No, I think it's
No.
going to be something. I'm just happy to see that because a lot of people are really excited about it, and I was interested, but I was just like, "Is this a real game? Like
Yeah.
all this stuff crammed
Oh,
in,
I
is
wanna-
this
yeah.
real?" So I finally got to like play it and be like, "Okay, it is a game. Cool."
Can confirm there is
Yeah.
a game there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree.
Well, I guess the big thing that we didn't discuss in the Summer Game Fest episode, because it had just come out and no one had really had time to touch one, let alone like I was listening to the besties and Russ was saying that like he didn't even have one while he was in LA. He only played on Jason Schreier's in the lobby of the JW Marriott.
Right.
What is this one thing? What are we?
The Switch 2.
The Nintendo Switch 2.
Wait, I'm going to get mine.
Nintendo.
Keep going. Keep talking.
64. Yeah.
I can't get mine. Mine's covered in dirt because we did a Game Ranks video where we
What do you mean?
fucked with it.
What do you mean it's covered in dirt?
So we did we did durability tests,
Right.
like very basic durability tests that just to see how the system holds up to, you know, we're not doing scientific tests like some of the crazy channels, but we just kind of like, we sat on it, we dropped it, we dumped Mountain Dew all over it and Doritos, and it held up pretty well.
Wait, is this one of the things where you took it down to the beach? Is this one of those photo shoots?
This is one. No, this is one where we did a quick. We needed an extra video for the day, and
Right.
we were like, let's just like fucking test it because we did it with a DualSense controller, and people hated it. So we were like, let's do it with a Nintendo Switch.
Sure.
But it survived everything. Like Nintendo clearly like made this device knowing that kids are going to be
Yeah.
playing it with
Yeah.
grubby fingers, and they're going to be dropping it.
I mean, I think
So,
the
yeah.
one thing that's a little baffling to me is the positioning of the micro SD express slot.
Oh, it's like a little
here.
secret. It's a little secret.
But no,
in
but
there.
it's like if you have the kickstand on, it's fine. But it just feels like weird exposed if you
Yeah.
have the kickstand out. But
because the kickstand's like a hand grip. Like a lot of people have been doubling that as like
Is
a
that what
little
they're
extra,
doing?
what do you
extra to like
mean?
rest your back
Oh!
fingers on.
Oh,
Yeah.
is that what they're doing?
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
I
don't have
see.
mine,
Yeah.
but
Okay. I can understand
yeah,
that actually.
just
That's
a little
interesting.
something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah. Solid
Um,
device. Feels nice. Joy-Cons are good.
So much bigger than I expected it to be.
Yeah.
So
Oh my god,
I
absolutely.
didn't really get a chance to. I only picked this up a couple of days ago, and all I did was I transferred my stuff over. Good job, Nintendo. That was very easy, except for the one thing where both switches had to be plugged in by a Nintendo official USB-C. And I did not have one to hand, so I had to do the thing where I unplugged it from the new one, plugged it into the old one, and then swapped it back again. But otherwise, like in terms of setup, it was super easy. All my stuff just immediately started downloading. I was impressed with the onboarding, but then again, really, should I be impressed? Because it is just, it's Switch 0.5. It should be that. Well,
Interesting.
in terms of like, there's no huge update to
in terms of
the main screen.
experience.
That's what I'm saying. Like in
No,
terms
true,
of the
I
actual
agree with that,
experience,
absolutely.
Cuter.
Except
It's like a
the-
little cuter in the UI. It's got a little
The
more
shop
quirk.
experience though is like
Oh, man.
so different.
is
Oh,
it?
my god.
So I haven't actually
Game
been on
changer.
the eShop because it keeps making me log in every single bloody time.
Yeah,
So
it's been
let me
annoying.
quickly log in.
The
and
shop experience
get live
is
React.
on the original Switch is so unbelievably
I
bad.
have it
It is
burned in my
like
brain
it is like dial-up internet level bad. Yeah.
forever.
Oh god, yeah.
So to see what
That's a
it is
big
now
difference.
is such a massive difference, and I really like that a lot.
I
Yeah, I mean, look, the top line for me is that like I absolutely love this thing. I think it is like a bit of a technological marvel. I think about what this is, like how thin this is and how performant it
yeah.
is. It's like the weight to performance to size ratio is just so spot on. And obviously I love my Steam Deck, and it's still my preferred handheld, don't get me wrong, because of my library and what I choose to play and whatever else. But like this is also just a really, really fantastic device. And I think there's lots you can say about the Switch, Nintendo and their approach to things, and the price points, and the digital game card bullshit where you buy a cartridge, it's not even a fucking game on, and all that sort of stuff. And all of that is true. I think it was as well their approach to emulation, and the fact that if you use like third-party cartridges right now for legal emulation, it will still not brick, but it will still render your Switch to unplayable online. That's a thing that's happening. And again, that is bullshit because
Nintendo
emulation
bullshit.
is legal. So all of those things are true about Nintendo and their stuff, but it's also true that this as a device is a truly excellent device, and it feels extremely... I picked up my old Switch, and the OLED version, and I'm like, damn, man, this feels like a fucking toy at this point. Like just the jump from this to that feels so much worse, basically. Smaller and flimsier, and this just feels so much more premium and better and just so good. Like I truly do love it.
I'm looking at this Find Games thing. Xenoblade, Undertale, Pokemon Shield.
Let's go, baby. Xenoblade. Oh yeah.
Can I say I've played the most played thing on my Switch so far is Soul Calibur 2.
That's the
help
most
myself.
Jake answer.
I can't help myself. It's so awesome. It's the best.
I've only really like just dabbled a little bit with Mario Kart with 3 other people. And that's basically it. I haven't tried anything. Like the first game that downloaded on my Switch 2 was Red Dead Redemption. So.
Hell
I mean, look, and I
cool.
think there's like, this is what's interesting, because one of the benefits of this device is that it allows you to go back and play old games better, but either by virtue of the fact that they no longer like drop below 30 FPS, or by virtue of the fact they actually get an update that specifically makes them perform better. And like Tears of the Kingdom on this thing is just like
it's like a different game.
Bro, it's a different game, man. Like it just you double the frame rate of something and you increase its sharpness and whatever else, and it's just I don't know, man. Obviously, that's how Tears of the Kingdom should have launched. But the reality is it didn't because it was running on old hardware. And that hardware, for its time, was extremely ambitious hardware. You're talking about a device that had a screen and lets you play like, modern games on the go, and it was combining a handheld and a console experience. You could dock it. Like, yeah, I mean, the Switch got really old, and by the end, games ran like shit. But let's not forget just like how innovative and breakthrough that piece of hardware was at its time. And then by the end, yeah, it ran awfully. Games ran awfully. And now you get to play them and they run unbelievably well. And like, is that bad that we're excited about that? I don't think so. I have actually spent a lot of my time with the Switch 2 playing Zelda, playing Tears of the Kingdom, because it just feels so nice to do it. It really does. And like, I like Mario Kart, and I played a bunch of other third-party stuff as well. But like, that has just been amazing. I really loved it.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I've maybe played an hour of it total. So
Interesting.
Yeah.
Is that because you're busy, or you're not really drawn to the library of games, or like what is that? Because you've been playing other stuff, obviously, non-Switch stuff.
Playing a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
I only picked it up on Tuesday. So it's Thursday today. I only picked it up on Tuesday. Tuesday night, we made dinner, a group of us, and then we played Mario Kart for an hour and a bit. But I will say the jump from 8 to having so many races on this, and like it was our first time playing it and first time on the courses and stuff, it was a bit overwhelming because none of us knew what the new power-ups were. However, will say the costumes, wow.
The skins are incredible.
So
you like
good.
them?
Probably it's the best part of the game.
Yeah.
Although,
oh wow, okay.
Where is my boy Roy? He is not in the roster anymore. Yeah,
I love DLC for sure.
I love Cow. I love Cow. But yeah, where's Roy?
Yeah.
And then we did. Well, you can't do free roam with 4 players. You can do it with 2, I think, split screen, but you can do it with 4. So then we were just like, oh well.
Yeah, what's the deal with the whole free roam thing? It was like hidden away in the menu. It looks like it was like an afterthought feature. And then when you go in it, there's fun little objectives, but it's mostly just like a means to an end more than anything.
I was mostly looking for fast food trucks so I could get the costume.
Yeah, same.
I went into it at the beginning and I was like, look, it's fine. Like, I don't imagine I'm going to spend much time in this and, whatever. And by the way, I didn't. Like, I didn't. But I was very kind of like, well, what do you expect? Like, this is a thing they added. And then, like, someone mentioned, I read it somewhere, but they're like, Diddy Kong Racing. And I'm like, yes, absolutely. Like, that actually, imagine if Mario Kart had adopted some of that in terms of its single player experience and that approach to world. Like, that would have been fucking cool. Diddy Kong Racing to this day still goes so hard. It was such a great game.
I forgot.
And like, yeah, you're like, and when I read that post, I was like, okay, you're right. Actually, they have dropped the ball here. There was an opportunity for them to do vastly more interesting things with this open world structure that they did not do. And that is a bummer for sure. Can't argue that.
I don't feel like happy that I spent $80 on it. I don't really feel like, for me, I'm gonna play it with friends once in a while, but like I don't feel like it's worth it for me personally.
Okay.
But Knockout Tour is awesome.
Yes.
Knockout Tour feels like, oh, this is like this game's big new thing. Not to mention the fact that like seamless online, which again is like something that we should give Nintendo credit for in this day and age, but like hopped right into a fucking match, went no problem.
Yeah.
No BS, nothing.
Does it still have I'm using tilt controls? Because that was like that was my one thing, is that every time I played Mario Kart online, I would just spam online.
I'm using tilt controls. That's funny. That's funny.
Yeah, no, I look, I think that it's an interesting point because I've heard. So you bought it. You didn't buy the bundle. Why didn't you buy the bundle? Because I also listened to Maddie, friend of the channel, Mr. Maddie Plays, and he's like, I bought Mario Kart for $80. I'm like, but why though? Like, you're gonna buy a Switch. Why didn't you buy it with? Why?
I think my pre-order, I didn't get my hands on the bundle one. I got my hands on the regular one. Yeah.
I see. Fair enough. Well, that makes sense. Yeah, I mean, that's a bummer then, I guess, if people were having to pay $80 for this. Because, yeah, I agree. Like, I think this is just, I mean, I think there are so many disappointing aspects of this launch, I think, for Nintendo. Like, objectively, this is a really boring launch. Okay, it's a fact, right? Right down to the name of the device. Like, it is the Switch 2. And Nintendo comes up with sick-ass names like, the GameCube and the Wii. You know what I mean? And all this sort of shit. And this is like the Switch 2. Okay, fair enough. there's basically no first-party library except for the Welcome Tour.
How is
And
that? I haven't.
Look, it's a massive monument to Nintendo's arrogance. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's fine, but you had the chance to just give this away for free and generate some goodwill and some nice buzz, and people would celebrate it. But instead, it just becomes this thing where it's like, what the fuck are you doing? We've already spent hundreds of dollars on this device because that doesn't really have much on day one, because we value you as a company. We value the products that you make. And you wanted to skim an extra $10 off us with this thing. It's kind of like, that's so stupid. Like, what
they need money for their lawyers.
Say again?
They need money for their lawyers.
I guess so. But yeah, so I mean, I think that the lack of first party stuff is obviously a bummer. I think the fact that the system itself is a nice glow up versus the original, but it's also not adding any of that kind of special Nintendo weirdness that previous consoles have always done. Sure, absolutely. There's also reports just today about third-party sales on the Switch, and they're just not going very well. According to VGC, one third-party publisher said that their games sold below their lowest expectations on the Switch 2. Which
was that company Square Enix?
That's right. Got him. But very possible, actually. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if it was Bravely Default and they're like, it's worth. That would make so much sense.
Well, no, because it's not a Western title, so come on.
Yeah, I don't know. It's true. So, I think that this is a system that sold 3.5 million units in the first 4 days. Yeah. You'd think that people would, given the absence of first party offerings, that they would be flocking to third party stuff, but they're not. They're kind of, I think they just kind of bought it because they're like, well, I'll need this one day.
Get it before tariffs.
Say again?
Yeah.
Get it before tariffs over here.
You reckon?
I think certainly that's part of it.
You reckon?
I just know a lot of people that just got it. They're having fun with Mario Kart, and that's really it right now until the next big thing comes. I'm talking to like casual, more normie people I speak to.
I personally think that I have this device now, not for what it is today, but for what it will be in the future.
Yeah.
And, it's like, I think it is a really excellent device that is going to bring me a lot of joy over the next 8 years or however long it lives. I'm very happy with the experiences that it's giving me now, but there aren't many of them. But I think in the future, it's Nintendo, man. Like, we're going to get a Mario game. We're going to get a Zelda game. We're going to get Metroid. We're going to get all sorts of weird, surprising shit that we didn't think about. And, if this is your main driver and you want to play like indie games or whatever on it, great. But I think also one of the things that I really came away from is I don't want to play like modern AAA games on this thing. Like, I played Cyberpunk on this. And it runs. Don't get me wrong. You can play Cyberpunk on this. But it's not good. Like, it's not, you compare that
ideal.
No. Like, I played Cyberpunk on my PC on a 4090. Like, I'm not going
You've
back.
You've experienced the true Cyberpunk.
I was the Cyberpunk.
But I've also played it on PS4. So I look at this and I'm like, wow, this is incredible.
Well, this is great. So I played the PS4
Not like I'm saying I played through the whole game.
Okay,
yeah.
That's how I played it. And so that was the workaround, I guess.
Yeah, that was.
But yeah, then I played it on PC and I was like, Also, I just want to say a quick call out that Ralph, you were holding your Switch 2 like a giant phone from 2001 for a little bit, and I was just really enjoying it.
Hello. I gotta say, for me, it's basically I got my Metroid Prime 4 machine early.
Out now.
I'm curious to see how it's gonna fall into my personal life playing it, because I have become I'm just so deep into hardware other than Nintendo. The only thing I'll say with the ports and stuff is that I just like that people have the opportunity who just have Switch to maybe be exposed to that. Maybe you just have a Nintendo Switch, but you like watching YouTube and you're like, oh man, if only I could play that Cyberpunk game. Sure. Well, now you kind of can.
Yeah.
And in a less compromised version than it would be if they tried to port it to, the original Switch. Witcher 3. The Witcher 3, you could play it on Switch.
Yeah.
And people were like, yay, I've always wanted to play The Witcher and all I have is a Switch. But it was also heavily compromised in a lot of ways. A good port in some ways, but very compromised in others. So the Switch 2, at least, it's a little better, Plus you can play with the mouse.
I think it's a lot better. I think it's a lot better than what what.
Well, the fact that it can run
won.
Dogtown, like is crazy. Yeah, it's not the best, but the fact that it can do that is cool.
Do you have? I told you about this. So in my bedroom, bear with me, stay with me. I have like a little gooseneck stand that I have clipped to my bed frame.
Yeah,
and I put my Kindle on it. And so that's how I read before I go to sleep. And I have a little Bluetooth page turner. However, so I'm like fully under the duvet. Just like
with a screen at your face, like Wally.
But it means that it's not gonna fall on my face in the middle of the night, which is what I did the other day when I fell asleep looking at my phone. But I was thinking, Switch 2, put that in the stand.
Yes.
Gaming before bed.
That was my biggest problem with the Switch when you play it in bed. Your hands would fall asleep. And so then I would love a contraption like that to just totally just
let me tell you, just put on the sunglasses, put on the magic sunglasses that act as a monitor.
Oh, I don't have any.
You don't have any yet?
Don't have any yet.
Well, let's see.
But no. So overall, Switch 2, it's like,
She shrugged for the listeners. She did a big old shrug.
I think it's all about like how do you measure success on a launch, right? Is this an exciting launch? Absolutely not. I think this is one of the least exciting console launches in the history of video game consoles, right?
That Nintendo, they're always keeping us on our toes. They're always going to surprise us in some way.
But measured against that is the fact that it's simultaneously also literally the most successful video game console launch in history. 3.5 million units in 4 days, sold more units than any other console of all time. So it's objectively a success. You look at, is it a worthwhile purchase? Well, if you're talking about back catalog stuff and your ability to tap into that, sure. If you've only ever owned a Switch, you can now play Yakuza 0 Director's Cut for the first time, and you can play Cyberpunk and whatever else. But with all the compromises that come with that, if you're talking about first party, it's like, well, obviously this is disappointing. There is no Breath of the Wild or Mario game or whatever, but it will come. It's on the way, and Mario Kart's pretty good. And there's just so many different ways you could slice it. And so if you want to paint the picture that Nintendo Switch 2 absolutely sucks and it's the worst launch of history, fine. If you want to say it's actually a pretty good machine that's only going to get better with time, that's also, I think, relatively. I think that's true, and that's kind of where I land. Where I look at this device. And I'm like, this is a good piece of hardware that I always enjoy picking up. It's given me a fantastic experience. But I know that there's not much here yet, and it will be there in the future. That's kind of where I landed.
It's one of the few instances where it can be the most boring launch or boring device, right? But it literally has given people what they actually wanted in terms of a spec upgrade. Just an upgrade into it's what everybody wanted, but then it's boring. So it's this interesting spot. So I'm just curious to see how it'll be 2 years from now.
There's Jake right there. There he is. I can see him. That's you see him behind this. Nice. No, I think it's good. Oh, yeah, let's put it this way. Actually, let's put it this way. Is there anything missing from the Switch 2 that you wish it did have on the hardware side? Like, is there anything else you would think
not hardware, software. I miss Me Plaza.
Sure, of course. There's all sorts of that software stuff. I think
hardware wise, I think for me, it's like little stuff. Yeah. Well, OLED screen is big. Okay. OLED would be great. I wish the Joy-Cons had a little bit more grippy to them because I've grown so accustomed to things like the Steam Deck.
Yeah.
Obviously you can get a case for that, but I don't know. And yeah, I mean, I guess I can always say I wish the graphics were even better. I wish the thing was even more of a powerhouse, but no, I think it addressed pretty much.
Yeah.
Oh, the fact that you can't plug AR glasses into it because Nintendo's annoying with plugging
that's
anything
right.
in.
They locked that shit down. Yeah. I think
that,
inbuilt camera I think would have been really nice. I think that would have been a nice addition.
Game chat.
Yeah, well, I think obviously like game chat having to pay for that's a bit silly, but I think an inbuilt camera would have been a really nice social thing where you're kind of just sitting wherever and you're able to just start playing with your friends like that without having to set up that ridiculous little thing,
I have that camera and we didn't even open it.
Yeah, I have it too.
The little Piranha Plant one?
No, we got the regular one. And we even like for the before you buy, we're like, does anyone gonna care if we like evaluate this side of it? And we were like, no.
one cares. So, other than that, though, I think it would have been interesting to see some of that Nintendo weirdness come through. I'm not sure what it is. I don't know what it is until I see it, obviously. But I would have loved them to have, just sprinkle a little magic on this. There's a mouse. Okay, sure, you can use it as a mouse. That's cool.
Yeah, that's cool and weird.
I agree. But at the same time, it's also quite antithetical to how we typically use a Switch. The point of the Switch is to not have to sit at a table. The point of a video game console is to sit on a couch. And in particular, the point of a Switch is to sit wherever the fuck you want. So then if I have to sit at a desk, and you can use it on your thigh, of course, absolutely. But it's not as precise. It's not really meant for that. It's much better to use it at a table, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. That's not what the Switch is for. So get that.
But it opens up for a lot of third-party ports, I suppose.
Absolutely.
So
and I think that's a
good
great thing.
Yeah.
I agree with that completely.
I would be interested to see what the adoption rate is on people actually doing it, though.
I agree.
Using it that way.
ARMS too, but this time with a mouse. Do it. I would play the shit out of that. I love ARMS.
You're the only one that would, but yeah, Godspeed.
I ever played it.
That's great.
All right. Any other thoughts on Switch 2, or shall we move us along?
I would love to do a Switch 2 6 months later.
Yeah.
1 year in type of thing. Definitely.
Yeah, we'll do that. All right. That's our thoughts on the Switch 2 so far. I forgot to cue this up top, but we also chatted to PlayerUnknown himself about what he's got going on. So,
Brandon Greene, the actual
Greene.
guy.
That's right.
The guy.
The
Not
guy.
so unknown, because everyone knows his name.
It's actually
That
really
was
nice as
terrible.
well, by the way.
Yeah.
I was bummed I couldn't make this one, but I have
Yeah.
met him once before at Gamescom, and he
Right.
was very nice then.
It was really great to talk to.
Yeah, so the boys chatted to him, and here's that interview right now.
Hello, Brandon Greene. Really fantastic to have you on the show. Very excited when we got the reach out, being like, "Hey, you want to chat with PlayerUnknown?" We're like, "Yeah, we do. Absolutely, of course we do."
Yeah.
So, thank you very much for making the time and welcome.
No, pleasure, really. I love chatting about what we're doing. And finally, because it's been a quiet few years. And I kind of always believed, don't say it until you can show some stuff. And it's been a journey. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. Well, I think we're really interested to hear about that journey, but we're also interested to hear about your personal journey as someone who made one of the most popular games of all time. Obviously, the background PlayerUnknown, made PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds, and that to this day still holds the record for the most concurrently played game of all time on Steam. And obviously birthed the Battle Royale genre, which is right now still the biggest genre on the planet in terms of playability. So we're really interested to just hear about how that happened, because that's insane. But tell us the start of that journey. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people are familiar with it. I'm sure most people aren't. Tell us how you got into game making.
Yeah, so I used to play a lot of games. I played Delta Force Black Hawk Down and loved modded maps. I played a bit of America's Army 2 and loved that kind of realism and wasn't aware of Flashpoint and Arma until I was in Brazil, kind of looking for something to do and which wasn't spending money. And I heard about this DayZ mod. And I had kind of not fallen out of love of games, but I was DJ, photographer, designer, and that kind of most of my time was spent there. And games for me, I played Assassin's Creed 3, I think. I just didn't like that it was so linear. Yes, there were stories and there was quests and stuff, but it wasn't really emergent. It wasn't really like some of the stuff you could happen on modded maps back in Black Hawk Down and stuff like that. But so I wasn't really playing games, but then I'd seen this post, I think on Reddit, about this DayZ mod and Arma 2 survival zombies. Was hitting all the triggers for me, was realistic, and had good weapon mechanics and stuff, and downloaded it, and it kind of reignited or just sparked so many ideas in my head. This idea of emergence, that it's just a world with a bunch of systems and there's no path for you to follow. There are things you can do, and just this really kind of ignited this passion for working with these kind of spaces and seeing what I could do. Battle Royale was the first kind of iteration of that, where I saw there was the Survivor games done by Brian Hicks and Jordan Taylor, but it was controlled by admins. And I thought, well, I would like to play this myself. This was only for streamers at the time. So I thought, okay, well, I can try and make this. I had a DayZ mod server that was quite popular, and I thought, well, let's see if I can make a mod. And spent about a month trying to find the right code, because I wasn't a very good coder, to get something working. And the first few iterations that we were testing was, it was funny, the circle would jump from the north to the south of the island, and half the people would die just trying to get from one circle to the next. So it was a bit of a mess, but it was just trying to leverage this idea that every round would be different, because every game that I saw that I didn't like at that stage was just like, well, not saying that I didn't like it, like CSGO, for example, it's pixel perfect accuracy. It's knowing very smart tactics on very small maps, and it's quite repetitive. And I really wanted to, like, not battle AI because I could just see the patterns. I just wanted a way to fight other players in a way that had an endpoint. And Battle Royale, they had done the Survivor games. And I don't know, I was thinking about it during a week, and I don't remember. I think I had seen Battle Royale somewhere on my feed or somewhere, and then I thought, well, this is just better. And I just sort of framed it around Battle Royale, did some promos on Reddit, and people really seemed to pick up on it. And I launched 6 servers with, I had to control and lock and restart them myself for the first, I think, weeks, because there was no manual way of doing it in Arma. But I could see this interest in the chat from the games, where people would say, well, I've been waiting like 2 days to try to get into a game of this. And at that stage, I kind of knew, okay, people like this. And I never really asked streamers for anything at the time. I just gave them access to the game. If they needed sub Sundays. So I was very open, because I just saw that this could be something interesting, like a good game mode, right? More than anything else. And I wasn't doing this for to make myself rich. I just thought this is something that could be something great, but I really just wanted to make it so I could play it myself, right? So that's kind of where it all started. I just wanted to play Battle Royale or some kind of round-based survival game myself, and there wasn't much out there. That led on to some things.
Yeah. Did you study like computer science or whatever, like coding? I was a fine art student who then, in Ireland, the fine arts circle is quite small and a little bit cliquey, at least at that time. So my girlfriend at the time, her brother was a graphic designer, web designer, who had a company doing kind of new media design. This was back in like the sort of early 2000s. And I kind of got into web design and knew like HTML, a little bit of JavaScript, this kind of CSS, and the scripting in Arma at the time, SQF, I think it's called, is kind of the bastard child of JavaScript and C, right? It's just but it's a kind of a natural language, almost programming language, so I could kind of understand it. So I could write some stuff, and my code is bad, but it was like the first Battle Royale mod was like 2,000 lines of code, but I got it working. And then like I had some other coders from the modding scene that when they realized I wasn't doing it just for personal gain, they were willing to help, because at the time there were a few DayZ mods that were really trying to heavily monetize their mods to make money for the creators. And I just didn't think that was the right way. Modding should be free and for everyone, and just it's a passion project more than anything else, right? Yeah. So so those early days were hard because I wasn't a good coder. I was very proud of the loot system I developed for Arma 3, because it took away the pressure from the server and did it in a more efficient way. And the coding wasn't great, but the logic behind it I was very proud of. But that's kind of it just seems borrowed and asked for help getting this code together, but it
brute forced it to play the thing you want. Yeah,
it worked, right? I mean, it had there was nothing like game breaking. There were some funny things, like I put a new anti-cheat once in Arma 3 that I forgot that parachutes were vehicles, and I forgot to put that the exception for the parachutes. So I just got messages on TeamSpeak at the time, like, everyone's dying. There's no parachutes, because people were just ejecting out of planes and smashing into the ground. So that was an interesting, like half an hour or so when I rushed out fixes. That's cool. It was an interesting time in the early days. We even had zombies in Arma 2 when you were outside the zone. They would just chase you, a string of zombies. Right. So that was always fun.
Yeah. I guess what's really fascinating is that, like, you were like a DJ in Brazil, right? while this was
Yes.
happening. Yeah, like doing other freelancing stuff as well. It strikes me like this would require a tremendous amount of time and focus, and it's kind of like, how do you marry those two things up? Because I imagine that there's a lot of partying going on.
At that stage, I'd kind of like moved away from doing DJing because I was trying not to spend a lot of money. I was trying to do more design jobs,
right?
And then stay at home more.
Okay,
and that's when I kind of fell back into gaming and found Arma and found Emergence, right? Like because of all the game modes like Wasteland and King of the Hill, all these kind of game modes leveraging this idea of emergence or just an open world in a true set, not in a like a Red Dead or a Assassin's Creed type way where it's a box of missions. This is just a bunch of systems that you create your own fun. Like DayZ was really the kind of, I don't want to say it was the first one that really leveraged that sort of type of gameplay, but that's what made me fall back in love with gaming. And ever since then, and this is what the current projects are doing, is trying to create bigger emergent spaces and letting, the players create their own experiences rather than me trying to decide what they want to play.
Yeah.
So you had been in the Reddits and stuff, and you had been engaging. So you had, garnered attention from the ground up with this. But was there a point, like, can you pinpoint a moment where it hit you like, holy shit, I guess I'm a game maker now, and this is what I'm going to continue doing?
No, I guess when H1Z1 reached out to put the thing, but again, I was very much a consultant. I didn't have a lot of expertise, especially programming and stuff like that. So I kind of watched as other people did the thing. And H1 Battle Royale wasn't really it was a bit too quick and twitchy for really what I wanted. It wasn't realistic enough for me. So when I left that, I really actually got worried that I wouldn't be able to create it because I didn't have enough experience to run a team. I didn't know Unreal well enough. And at that stage, I was really worried that I'd never get to create really like a standalone product. And then I was lucky that Crafton or CH got in contact and said, "Hey, come to Korea. Here's a team. Go make a game." I think, even then it was. I don't know if I want to call myself a game maker. Like, I have some ideas for the worlds I want to build, but like I never sat down and learned programming. I have ideas for like structures and foundations of these kind of worlds rather than really. Yeah, I don't know if I ever had that moment of like I make games. I think I do say to a lot of the people I meet in the industry that like I feel so lucky that we work in this industry. Like we get to make games for a living. I feel really shit that the industry is going through hell right now, right? Because of other forces and stuff, which I don't want to get too deep into.
Sure, don't we get very deep into it ourselves. It's fine. We cover
but again, it's such a great industry, and there's so much talent out there, and I feel really lucky that I'm still in a position to be able to pursue these kind of crazy dreams that I have, right? Like that, like a lot of people get knocked back, or these ideas get shut down because, a focus group or an exec layer decide, well, no, this is not what people want right now, and it's not on trend, and fuck that shit, man. Like, just. Like most of the greatest games that we play, like CSGO, Dota, DayZ, PUBG, they all come from modding, all come from like a crazy guy sitting in a room thinking, well, I want to do this a little bit differently. And people happen to like it. So I'm lucky to be able to keep pursuing that that way of doing things.
Well, people really liked what you made with PUBG to the point where, as I said, to this day, it's kind of still the most currently played game on Steam in Steam's history. What was it like to go through that moment of like that dropping and then the reception from players? Like, what was it like to be in the eye of that storm?
It was quite the experience. Like I did about a year on the road, going to conventions, just doing meet and greets with fans, talking to people, just doing interviews. Quite a whirlwind, but I'll never forget it. It was like I doubt it will ever happen again. I think these things. I would be lucky if it happens again. But again, it was quite the thing. Like when we hit, I think like 1 million players, I couldn't believe it. Even our server infrastructure, like it was set up to handle 1 million players because we thought, well, that's Dota. Like we're not going to beat Dota, right? And then we had like heading I think 3.2 million.
Yeah.
And it gave us so many, more issues than we were kind of even prepared for, because who thought like we'd be like tripling Dota's numbers, right? I mean, that's just insane to think. So like a credit to the team, they worked long hours to really make sure we could handle what was coming in. But it was a blur, but it was one hell of a blur.
Yeah, absolutely. And after that, you obviously took next steps in your career, whatever else. But the battle royale genre continued on in its own sort of trajectory, and obviously it spawned things like Fortnite, which is now its own crazy, ridiculous thing, and Apex Legends, and all these sorts of things. So, I mean, I just want to briefly, what's your view as someone no longer making a battle royale game? Like, what's your view of the battle royale genre and where it is now and where it's headed and interest in it? And like, what are your general vibes around battle royales these days?
I'm humbled by how it's taken off, really. Like the breadth and variety of battle royales that are out there, and what people have done with like just a simple game. And again, like, it's a last man standing game mode. I didn't exactly create that game mode, but seeing how it's evolved through Apex, through Warzone, through all these games, it really has been humbling. I've loved to see it. Like, initially, it's a game mode. I just I wanted it to be in Arma, that you could just spin it up, and that's what I always saw it as. So to see it being taken up by so many other games that I love, and seeing their implementations of it has been, as I said, like, humbling and just wonderful to see.
Yeah.
And even to this day, like, I see stories on Reddit and others that not just that, but like that Battle Royale has brought together people, that like people have met like long-term friends, have got married. It's as I said, like it's a lot to take,
sure.
or a lot to see. But again, it is really wonderful, like, to have that kind of effect on so many was a very special thing.
Yeah. So obviously, that is a tremendous level of success that you had. There's just insane levels of success that the likes of which many game makers, game developers, whatever, could only ever dream of. And then a little while after that, you decided that you would step away from that and start something else and head in a new direction. Tell us about that choice, because I think it would be quite natural to be like, well, I make battle royale games now. This is huge. I'm going to stick with this forever. Why did you make that decision to move into a new direction?
And before I answer, is it okay if I vape a little on this stream?
Okay. Yeah. It's all good.
Oh, no, just
you cannot. It's illegal.
Okay, it's all good.
No, so I said, like, I got into games again because of the DayZ mod and these kind of emergent spaces. And I got kind of to the edge of the map, and I was like, but why? Like, why can't we go bigger? And it's the same even with like massive productions like Red Dead Redemption. There's still an edge to the map, and it's still a small box. So like, while Battle Royale was something I love doing, the reason I still had this kind of nagging needs to do bigger spaces and kind of solve that. I wanted to do initially like 100 by 100 kilometer survival game. Like, I love what happens in Rust. I love what happens in DayZ, these kind of emergent spaces. And I wanted to give players bigger spaces where maybe trade routes and mineral resources are something, and a helicopter will cut the journey down instead of, to seconds to, from days to maybe an hour. And in that sort of first year of trying to figure out, well, how do we do this? We figured out that, well, you can't do it with humans, because then it's just the wrong way to scale these worlds. And it's been kind of a ditch, to put it bluntly, like the kind of games industry's being stuck in, to create like these big worlds takes a long time and a lot of artists, because you're designing things. So I remember thinking about Atlas, the Ark game in the sea, where they kind of stitched together stitched together servers, and use the ocean as the stitch point, so it's not so noticeable. And I said to our research director at the time, I said, well, can't we kind of generate a low-res map of what the world is, and then up-res that and use that as a reference to tell what the world looks at a high level of detail? And he said, yes, we could. And we could actually use machine learning to do that because it's very good at that. It can take very low res detail and infer detail from it and create essentially information from nothing. So we spent about 3 months, I think, researching into how we could do this in real time. We got told by a lot of senior technical people, well, this is crazy. Why would you do a world in real time? Because if you want to do massive scale, like, where do you store the data if you do it in a traditional way? Like, how do you scale with humans? It's just not very good. So we decided on, well, what you'd have to generate the world rather than having to build it by hand, or even build it by hand using ML tools. So we solved the terrain issue quite early on, actually. And I thought, well, if we can generate a new world or a new terrain every time you press play, well, I thought the easiest way to leverage that in a game would be just a simple survival loop. Get from one side of the map to the other and have some simple systems like combustion and like weather. And then we can test the terrain tech. It took me 3 years to build a team to start the journey, because at the time as DJ, photographer, not a games exec, not a bunch of experience. I relied on the expertise of others, and I just relied on the wrong folks at the start. Luckily, I managed to build a very strong core team that believed in the vision and were quite talented. But then about 2 years ago, we were in a rough state as a studio. We didn't really have a path forward, no real plan. I had a vision. I had the rough idea of what we wanted to do and achieve, but we had no one to implement it. And I met David Podfelt, ex-Massive, and he introduced me to Kim. And then we, over about 3-4 months, built a leadership team with Lauren Gorga and Peder and Scott that understood the vision, went away, came back with a serious plan. And then the last year has been, in pre-production for the game, well, for the 2 projects. I feel a lot less stressed because I thought building a simple survival game with just weather is bad, weather is cold, keep warm. I thought this was an easy plan to test our terrain tech, but just finding the right team to build something new is incredibly difficult. But now we have it, and now that's why I'm talking to people, because I'm pretty confident in what we have. Even the play tests we're doing in Discord right now with Prologue have been great, and the feedback we're getting from some of the critics and the press has been like, I didn't expect it, but it's very welcome. A lot of people seem to understand what we're trying to achieve. So yeah.
So I think trying to understand that, because obviously most people wouldn't have heard of this. You're working on, or you have worked on, 3 things in this bucket. The first is something called Preface, which is very technology driven. Second is something called Prologue, which is an actual playable game. It's a survival game that we're talking about here. And then there's something called Artemis, which is a more visionary piece, that kind of culmination of a bunch of things. So could you walk us through those briefly and explain that to us?
Yeah, so Artemis is the overarching project title, right? That's kind of what we're trying to achieve, which is, for me, just an open source platform for creating digital spaces, right? That's kind of the goal. But early on, we thought, well, we tried to achieve, initially, as I said, I want to do a 100 by 100 kilometer world with lots of players. But since we can now do any scale of world using our tech, I want to do Earth-scale planets with millions of, if not, billions of players interacting across a multiverse of these digital places. So we first thought, okay, well, we first decided we'd work on the terrain. How do you get terrain generation in a way that artists can guide it, that you can create worlds whatever fashion and whatever way you want. If you want a super hot world or a super realistic world or a Minecraft world, I don't really care. The tools should be there to allow you to create it, and the algorithms and the neural network should understand it. So Prologue is like the first attempt at testing our terrain tech, our guided generation tech, using Unreal as a platform because our own engine isn't ready yet. Preface is essentially a visualization of what's possible using our own in-house engine right now, showing the scale of what we can achieve very small file size locally on your computer, right? So it's trying to tackle one is trying to tackle the scale, and one is trying to tackle the fidelity and the systems and the emergent mechanics we need to add. So we can use Unreal for the first 3, maybe 4 years, testing our terrain tech, testing the generation, testing maybe local multiplayer. And then once our own engine's ready, we move to the next game or the next part of the project, which is a bigger, maybe, well, it's multiplayer. It'll be 2 teams against each other with a lot of agents or NPCs fighting each other, just testing our own network model, testing the guided generation tech on a larger scale with more game mechanics. And then game 3, after we think 8 to 10 years, is the Earth scale, essentially Minecraft survival on an Earth scale planet with, millions of players. But it's taking everything we've learned and then hopefully made breakthroughs on over the first 2 games to bring it into this kind of third world, essentially, right? Like a 5th place. It's not a game, but more a digital space where games and experiences can take place, or you can just go wander and sit by a lake and read a book if you want. I'm not going to tell you how to play. It's just a space. It's a digital place.
So is the idea almost for people to embrace that digital place and create in that kind of like how you did with Arma?
No, exactly. Right.
Like inspired by.
I said, like, I want to do the internet in 3D. Like the internet's great. There's amazing things happening, like Reddit's the place, right? Like some of the early forums, the spaces and the community interactions that happen online are wonderful. We don't really have that in 3D yet. And this is like the ultimate, as dirty a word as a metaverse is, I really don't think anyone's really trying to achieve it. I think people are building IP bubbles, and hopefully, these will talk to each other at some stage in the future. But, most of the people building them have specific mandates from their shareholders and stuff. So I think someone needs to build HTTP, but in 3D, essentially a protocol or a platform that can generate worlds rather than pages and allow millions of people to interact in these 3D space rather than in 2D space. And that's why we have a 10-year plan. It's why we've broken it down into these kind of, steps, because it's a lot to try to do. And it has to be done in a very specific way, because that's how the internet was built, right? Like it has to be fair and equitable, and kids in Australia and Africa and California have to have the same level of access and agency in this place. So, setting up all these systems in the right way will take a lot of testing, a lot of working with the community, and we're starting small with Prologue, right?
So Prologue is a survival game.
Yep.
And is it intended to be a fully fledged gameplay experience that someone is going to want to spend a lot of time in, or is it still in that sort of proof of concept-y sort of bubble where it's kind of like, here's something that showcases our ideas, but there's more on the way later?
No, this is it really at the moment. It's more kind of a prototype alpha. We have some initial functional systems in there, very basic. We plan to iterate and refine those. We have a plan for 3 DLCs to keep adding to the game to sort of bring it up. We want to do it in a year in early access. But right now, it's more that we're excited by this tech. So like we have an 8x8 kilometer world based in the Czech Republic, lots of hills, forests, rivers, and it's a new one every time you press play. We can do billions of different maps, and they all are extremely interesting because we use a guided generation system. So, even we'll hopefully allow the user to be able to just draw a picture and it will, create that map for them, apply all our mechanics and allow you to go across the map. Like I'd like to give people just free roam mode, because the game mode is, yes, get from one side of the map to the weather tower and get to the top and shoot a flare. But you don't have to do that if you don't want to. I mean, if you just want to spend 8 hours wandering around the forest, surviving against the weather, you can do that too. If you want to go exploring, like we may allow people just to set the weather and enjoy a summer's day and just wander, right? It's a nice natural space that there is a game there, but it's also just a space, right?
I see, yeah.
Yeah, how are you approaching the weather? Because just doing my research, it does seem like you guys are really excited about that. So what does it entail?
It's just sort of a set of five different weather types from hail, thunderstorm, blizzard, clear sunny day, and fog. And then we just ramp them up and down. So yeah, currently, if the blizzard starts and you don't have a cabin nearby, you will likely die unless you're well wrapped up or have access to something to light a fire. But we do want to make it that it's mostly random, right? Like how you end up the weather tower will be random every time, but that's kind of what I want, right? I like Battle Royale. I never want you to be able to expect what's coming, and just it's a game of decisions again. It's a game of trying to work out what loot you have, what how far you can go with this, and yeah, just giving you the choice to find your own fun.
When it comes to procedural generation, I think it definitely makes sense in a lot of contexts. You think about something like Diablo, right? Where it's like, cool, we're just spinning up Diablo maps and it's great. You think about some other games that have implemented procedural generation. It feels like a less ideal fit. And I think some people don't like procedural generation because they prefer a more handcrafted touch. And they're like, no, we want people to make these levels because you can always tell when something's procedurally generated. So how are you kind of like, because obviously you would know that as well, like you would have heard that. How are you contending with that in what you're building? How are you making this procedural generation model feel more interesting than what we've experienced in the past?
So there's, well, I don't want to say in Unreal we do it differently to how, well, we do it. We will do it differently in Melba or in Preface our own engine, but generally, typical procedural generation is rules based. So essentially, you can start seeing the patterns, right? And
exactly,
it's just the way it is. With our ML tech, ML kind of gives you infinite variety. So every time it generates a pattern, it's different, and it's not rules based. So there's like billions of possible outcomes, right? So with at least with the terrain, every map should essentially and sorry, I'm getting a little bit off track. But so if you have a 2.6 billion outcomes of maps, you're going to have a problem where 10,000 bowls of oatmeal that they all start to look slightly different or slightly the same, right? So what we have is we provide the agent or the ML agent with a schematic of a river and where we would like a mountain, and where we'd like a start point, and it will generate a map based on that diagram. But can generate millions of maps based off that diagram, and they will all be different. And we have to tweak the Unreal procedural generation system to ensure that the map is the same for every player. And then we can think about maybe adding co-op multiplayer. But ultimately, the goal for the Earth scale world that we're building is using ML as the population agent, because that gives you infinite variety. And we did have an early version of it on Unreal years ago. And I remember walking through the forest and stopping because it looked so natural that you'd see this beautiful ray of light coming through trees that just reminded me of a forest I've been to. It didn't look patterned. It didn't look, it was interesting. I was like excited to discover more. So this is where I think we can stand out, because it's not just rules based. It's not just a serious set of outcomes or patterns. And even for example, texturing items using machine learning to generate the pattern will just give you infinite variety. So it's not just the same pattern repeated and masked and tried to kind of blur or obfuscate them a little bit. So this is why I'm excited by ML, because it gives you this kind of level of variety you don't really see in traditional proceduralism. Now, I'm happy for the internet to prove me wrong on this, because maybe I'm speaking out of my ass because I am not the most technical person. But at least from what I've seen, this is the advantage of using an ML system rather than just straight proceduralism.
Right. And do you imagine that like this technology is going to exist in terms of creating these sort of canvases that players will then, or modders or designers or game makers will then come in and they'll be able to utilize that to create that sort of personal touch around that? Because it's one thing for there to be a forest. It's another thing for there to be like a temple in that forest with a story to tell, if you know what I mean. So is that kind of the goal?
No. This is the joy, the really nice thing about our system, is that it empowers our artists to create worlds quicker. Like doing an 8x8 kilometer world traditionally will take, not a small amount of people quite some time to really get everything looking right and the terrain looking right. With our system, they tweak some algorithms. Like we just finished the river generation system, and it's a little janky right now, but it just gives us control over everything from the rocks on the side of the river to how the slopes are. And as we tweak these algorithms and sliders, the river can really be iterated on quickly. And it's the same for the whole map, that instead of having to rebake a map after a bunch of artists have changed it, we just tweak an algorithm. We tweak the style of the forest. We can tweak the tiles that we put into the world that it's generated from. So the aim with our systems is to always empower our artists and creators to just, it's like a calculator or a camera, right? It didn't get rid of mathematicians, it made hard jobs easier. And this is what I want to do with this tech. And I really hope we can share this with other teams, that like, if you're creating a survival game, here's some tech that all you have to give it is the right training data, the right assets, the right game mechanics, and plug it in, and it'll just generate the world for you. And you can just build quicker because you're focused on the loop, the gameplay loop, rather than focused on building the play space, which just takes such a long time. So like, I really want to be open with this. We have our dev vlogs about it because, I think enabling all of developers to make worlds better and quicker is just good for gaming, right? I mean, as I said, we all make games for a living. Isn't that the best job in the world? Like, sure. I mean, why wouldn't we be sharing the tech with others?
Yeah. So Prologue is not out yet. It's coming out in summer, northern summer. So is it exclusive to the Epic Game Store?
No, we're on Steam and
on Steam as well. Okay, right. Cool. And so you don't have a release date that you're willing to announce here?
No, but I do. I would say, like, we're running monthly tests in our Discord. Okay. I mean, we've had probably about, I think, 10,000 people downloaded, check the game out. We do about a week every month, just because, as I said, this is a new way of generating game worlds, and we really want to get like players' feedback and what they like, what they don't like, what would make it fun for them, and the last play test that finished up last week, or this week, sorry, I think we got like 120 bug reports from the community. We set up a GitHub that they could report stuff. And they really are like active and sort of wanting, because they see like, this is early, there's possibilities here with this kind of system. And they understand that like, we can find the fun together. As I said, I want to make games with the community rather than just for them, right?
Sure. Yeah, right.
What's the quickest way people can jump in and start following and kind of get involved?
Just join their Discord. It's community.pp.studio. And yeah, we run everything from there for the moment. Social is kind of broken right now, so yeah.
Sure.
We stick on Discord.
I hear you big time.
In a Discord, like with a bunch of sweaties, that's the way it should be done.
Well, yeah, look, it's really fascinating. I genuinely had no idea that was the sort of scale of the ambition in terms of what you were aiming at over the 10-year period. I think it's really interesting. Obviously, it's, it sounds like there's a huge amount ahead before we really get to sort of see what that vision is going to look like. And we really, as like players, get to really sort of taste those benefits, if you know what I mean. But it sounds like Prologue does sound like a good way to sort of start that journey and for us to get a sense of where you're headed. So I'm really interested to check it out, actually. I think that'd be really, really interesting.
No, I mean, I'm having fun playing it. And that's I think one of the most important things to me is like, I find myself just wandering around the forest looking at, like, I got a really hard seed the last week that like I've saved to play again because, it's a tough seed. It looks interesting if you get up to certain heights and the vistas you might see. So it's, yeah, I mean, even some of the feedback we've got on Discord where people said, one guy said, I didn't really understand why people play Euro Truck Simulator, but I'm a hiker and goddamn now I get it. Like, right. So it's just, again, for me, it's not about really providing the game loop. Like, while I think that's important, I think it's more about these kind of emergent spaces that I don't want to stop you from doing what you want to do. Like build a tree house up in the tree when we fix the trees. But, these kind of just the community online, their creativity is endless. And I just want to give them spaces to explore that.
Yeah, awesome. Well, very keen to check it out and very keen to see how it develops over the long term. So, thank you so much for taking the time to be here with us and explain it to us. It really helped a lot. And wishing you and your team all the success in the coming months and years.
This has been wonderful. Thanks for the conversation.
Thank you.
Yeah, let's talk again.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Happy to do an update in the future.
How was that then to chat to him?
I just like to see somebody behind like monstrously successful thing doesn't become an insane weirdo. He just seems like a genuine guy.
That is so true, I think.
Yeah.
He just seemed like the most normal dude ever, just like hitting his vape while he was chatting to us or whatever. But I think it's clear that he's just moved, because I think the through line of his career is actually very fascinating to track, because he just is a guy that believed in making things just because they were interesting to make them. And that did lead him to create this mod. And it seemed like he's never really been motivated. Like, I'm going to make lots of money,
I'm going to make the biggest game in the world.
Yeah. He seems, and even this new project that he's on, like, it's weird, it's very abstract the way he just talks about it at times.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to wrap your head around it. But clearly he's just making it because he thinks it would be fascinating to make it. And like, maybe it works and maybe it doesn't. I don't know. But like, I don't know. He could go out and make more, I don't know, Battle Royale stuff.
PUBG 2.
PUBG 2, and like, I don't know, I imagine there's an easy path to him available to make just huge amounts of money making the same thing over and over again, or a very obvious thing. But he's making something really weird and interesting. And as I said, who knows how it's going to go? But like, I respect him for that choice. It sounds like a really interesting path to go.
I do too. I think also in terms of like hearing some of this stuff that's still, I don't know. It's hard for me to understand, but like it's very like tech focused more than game focused right now.
Absolutely.
And to see that's one thing. But also to hear, ideas of like approaching the internet differently and all these buzzwords that often make me cringe in terms of like tech stuff. The way he's coming at it just felt a little bit different. I was able to ease up. Maybe he's just a good salesman. I don't know. But it seemed like genuine being excited about the tech that they're trying to push more than anything. So I want to see where that goes. That could be cool.
Yeah.
For sure.
Well, should we go into a listener user question? Because I actually picked up a couple. And so it was funny that you mentioned Yakuza 0 just before, Ralph, because this one, I starred this in the inbox as soon as I read it, as soon as I saw it come in.
Okay.
It's from Seth Smith. Hi, friends. I have a 6-month-old baby whose favorite song is Friday Night from Yakuza 0. It is the only song.
Is that the opening song that I like?
Can't stop me tonight.
No, I can't remember. I'll have to look it up.
Move your body. Anyway, it is the only song that brings him joy, and it is often the only barrier between my son and a tantrum.
Oh
As a Yakuza fan, I think this is the greatest thing ever, but I'm worried my wife will begin to hate the song as we now listen to it frequently and sometimes on repeat for long periods of time. Friends, are there any songs from games you would recommend to bring joy to a little one? P.S. I have already tried other Yakuza songs with no success.
I can only imagine that. That's funny. That's hard. Boy, any songs from games that would bring joy to a little one specifically, right? Because you want to choose stuff that you would just like that would make your life easier. But what specifically would appeal to a little kid?
So, a child of one of my friends really enjoys songs that repeat things a lot. So we've kind of had to put a moratorium on Ice Ice Baby.
Nice.
Because
just get him on some Daft Punk, man. He'll never turn back.
When the robot says
Ralph,
one more time in the club.
Ralph, no. I'm not even joking. They were in the stroller with the phone, just listening to Around the World.
That's
that's
perfect.
Amazing.
And we had to be like, okay, maybe.
You know what I think would be a banger for a little kid? It has no words though, but just like the Chocobo ride song is always a banger, no matter what.
I think most of the Final Fantasy... You could get one of the
remixes,
most of the Final Fantasy VII soundtrack actually would go super hard in that context. Agreed.
No, just sit a 6-month-old down and be like, here's Xanarkand. You're going to listen and you're going to like it.
Here's
he starts crying
angel.
for no reason. I know, son. I know. I feel it too.
Tears my
Oh.
health. From
Man,
Max
I don't
Payne
know.
3.
That's you know what I think. You know what I think is a really great bop. The Mario, like the New Donk City song that they did for Mario
Yeah.
Odyssey.
That is
I
good.
think that is
Yeah.
perfect because it's obviously G-rated. It's got like a nice little bounce to it.
Mhm.
It goes pretty hard. I think that would work really well. Obviously,
I'm booting up my playlist. Hang on.
obviously Snake Eater. Clearly, that is an absolute go-to, and I'm not even joking. By the way,
The
what do you guys?
Shopkeeper song.
Wait, Jake, did you hear the? You heard the? I think we maybe talked about this.
Yeah,
You
we
heard
talked about this.
You were like, it's a little bit. I agree. I listened to it for the first time as well. Actually, I'm like, oh yeah, it's
She
good,
can still
but
sing.
she can.
Cynthia Harrow can still sing, but it's like produced a little bit differently. So I'm like,
I
the
agree.
horns are different. The horns sound slightly different.
I agree.
Insufferable.
Persona.
Oh,
Hold up. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like
Um,
most of the Persona 5 soundtrack,
Just like the battle
Yeah.
themes.
Persona, or like I'll Face Myself from Persona 4.
or the battle theme from Metaphor Refantatio with the go.
Oh.
Hang on. I have a big playlist somewhere with just like so many different video game soundtracks in.
The shopkeeper
You know-
music from Ocarina of Time.
Oh my god, what an absolute
Yes.
banger.
Stuck in my head for my entire life.
Basically
so.
anything from Grant Kirkhope, I think, is
Oh,
DK
yeah.
Rap.
DK Rap. The GoldenEye pause menu song, right? That's got to be in the mix.
That is
Let's
so
put
good.
that on.
Just a baby in the stroller like this to that song.
Vibing out to that, absolutely.
Where is this playlist? Maybe I delete it. But the Guardians of the Galaxy game soundtrack had a bunch of good stuff on it.
It did, but that's just like normal 80s,
Yeah, it's
like
just like
fare,
80s.
you know. I Need a Hero, of course you do. So
Well,
did you guys see
trying
the
to
Did you guys see the James Gunn Superman trailer? What do you reckon?
no.
Jake,
I've seen enough of that movie. Like, I'm going to just see it. I have very complex thoughts about this. I don't know if we have time to get into it.
We have time to get into it.
It's our
We have time
podcast.
to it.
We get to say how much time.
Well,
Yeah.
I just think so. I think it's really cool. I'm into it.
Okay.
I think that it's very interesting. I think that it's going to be interesting to see James Gunn, who credit to with Guardians of the Galaxy and stuff, but like separate the mainstream perception of Superman and how people embraced Superman versus Superman from the comics, which I argue is very different in a lot of ways. Aesthetically, the things it tackles, and it seems like the movie is really leaning into that comic book side. So I'm just curious to see how people are going to respond to that.
So
You know?
the only thing I know about this is like Nicholas Hoult is Lex Luthor.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. That's all you
There's
need
a
to know. That's
dog.
pretty good. It's great. There's
Crypto?
a dog. Crypto
There's a
is
dog,
there.
Crypto.
Crypto.
Doesn't
Back
He's
when
gonna
that
do a
word
rug
meant something.
pull.
Back when that word meant something very different.
That's the thing. It's like, despite living with Greg Miller for 2.5 years,
That's crazy. Yeah.
I did not really ever get into Superman at all. I've only ever read Superman Red Son,
Cool. It's a great one. It's a really great
Yeah,
which
one.
is
it is.
very, very good. I really enjoyed it. But I always prefer my superheroes to have a lot more trauma and mental illness, which is why I love Batman. So
I get it. Yeah.
Yeah. But also,
Yep,
you know,
for
like
sure.
Batman he's a guy. He's just a very, very rich guy. You know, whereas Superman, I'm like, yeah, you know, I'm not an alien. One day I could be a rich person who just
Yep.
beats up thugs at night. Probably won't.
No.
I like it.
Wait, that's what you're saying. You could be that. You can't relate to Superman because he's an alien, but you can relate to maybe one day growing up to be Bruce Wayne. All right.
I don't know, Luce. I think that I think the window on that's closed.
Yeah. Like the fact that, you know, I'm coming into the realization that I'm also never going to be a professional esports athlete. Too
No.
old.
I'm sorry.
That's
Yeah.
all of us. We've
It's
all
washed.
reached that point. I think when we're like 21 and we're still sitting in like silver in league, then we're all like, nah, it's never going to happen for me, man. It's over.
Yeah, I can't even beat people in Gears of War anymore. Like the new Gears of War, like Alpha, I was like, this is the game I used to play. I got wiped immediately.
God
Well,
bless.
Thank
Anyway,
you for
any
your
other-
question.
Any other?
Are
Yeah,
there
that was a
any
great
others-
question.
Any other songs I can't think of? Well, I did get another question, which is also music related, so I thought it would be quite a nice little bookend. It's from Marcus Johnston, who says, recently Lucy mentions in the latest episode Carpenter Brute and also gothing up for if she ever sees 9 Inch Nails, which I will be in August, and I'm all the tour footage is going to be very excited. It's basically the Eras tour, but for Nine Inch Nails. Oh my god! Anyway, it made me wonder: what are all of your bands or artists that you listen to that you don't talk about, or people might not know or expect? Lucy, for example, any Ghost, Depeche Mode, Misfits, or other groups? How about Jake with any skater music? Maybe hip hop and rap or something else? And of course, Ralph, I can't even guess what he might be into.
So true. I never talk about
the opera.
The opera. Fuck you, man.
Hey.
Respectfully.
Hope to hear from you guys. Could love to learn. Great show. Keep up the awesome work and fun, relaxing vibes. It truly does mean a lot. Can't wait to hear more episodes from you all together and individually. Signed, a fellow massive gamer and clearly music enjoyer.
That is so
Great question.
funny.
So
what a
really
great,
question.
interesting question. It's not at all video game related. So please, if you are here for video game bands, you'll have to skip forward in the podcast. But
Well,
I don't
That's
know.
the
I
thing.
don't know what you listen to, Ralph.
oh, that's
Yeah.
I know. I really. I have the dump.
Don't
Okay,
you
first
like
of all,
like a disco dance type music or
disco
something? I don't know
dance.
what you
That's
call it.
right.
No. I'm
Disco
thinking-
Ralph. I get a jacket made. Disco
I
Ralph.
want to guess. Hang on. So
All right.
either I feel like you listen to rock, like kind of not your dad rock, but like just
Like
a
a
kind
Foo
of
Fighters guy.
like a Foo Fighters,
Fighters.
or you listen to the dirtiest punk.
Oh, okay, interesting. Look,
you know,
unfortunately,
like- It has to be some extreme.
unfortunately, those are not correct. I fully admit that I have very weird, bad taste in music. Like I will say that like when it comes to movies, I think I have pretty good taste. With games, I will admit. With music, I will fully admit that my tastes are fucked up, bad, and just like it's basically my music tastes are that thing when you go to like the self-serve what do you call it, like soda machines, and you just mix all the flavors together and what you get is garbage. That's essentially my music taste,
I
right?
don't think I would say the same about myself, and I think it's being eclectic and liking a lot of different genres is better.
But I suspect you like good music where I feel like I don't know. Anyway,
give me some names.
Okay,
like,
so-
what is Nickelback?
I mean, like Nickelback obviously is fucking classic, legendary music, and everyone loves to hate on it. But the truth is,
But
like
actually,
when a
Some of it's actually really good.
when a Nickelback song comes on, you're singing it, man. You were in it. You were feeling it,
Yeah.
right?
That's me with Creed.
Exactly right. Audio
Yeah.
Slave, man. Formative. You know what I mean?
Oh, Audio Slave. Okay,
Audio Slave's like
I wouldn't
legit, like,
pair Audio
unquestioned.
Slave with
Yeah.
the other two, but
Anyway.
okay.
Point is, it's in that kind of vibe. So, I would say for me personally, more like most important album to me personally is like Jeff Buckley Live at Chennai, which is
Oh, okay.
like yeah, like that.
Also-
I don't. That's kind of the album I've listened to most of my entire life. And like I just like really like Jeff Buckley a lot. I don't exactly know why. It's just like
A beautiful,
Yeah,
haunting voice, amazing.
I think
songs.
like there's just an unbelievable talent if you listen to what he's able to do with his vocals and his songwriting and all that sort of stuff, and the fact that he was lost so in the way that he was, like very sad. But also that Live at Chennai performance is very human because he does lots of bands in it. It's a very small crowd. It's kind of like a bit earlier in his career, and it's just incredible. Like it's amazing. And then I also listened to a huge amount of Tool and Placebo. Like that's
I
yeah.
never pegged you for Placebo fan.
Oh, dude,
Yeah,
I
me
fucking
either.
love Placebo.
I
That
love
was like
Placebo.
huge for me growing up. And definitely, Tool. And then I think, but the other end of the spectrum is that I mainly listen to like dirty EDM. Like I'm just Anjuna Beats and like Matt Zoe. And like, I think my favorite song is like a Andrew Bayer song, like Gaff's Eulogy, which is actually based on a Blade Runner. He's kind of riffing on Blade Runner, and he makes this really incredible song.
Gaff, you say?
Yeah, it's Gaff Eulogy, it's called. And so, I really love that stuff as well. So as I said, like I have really weird, dumb tastes that are just like all over the place. Lately, like listening to a lot of like Caligula's Horse, which is like a sort of proggy
That sounds
metal
cool.
sort of thing. Like Cog actually was an Australian prog metal band that made some really good shit for a while. Yeah, so like that's sort of the space that I operate in. It's kind of like that proggy metal slash acousticy, guy with a high pitched voice and a guitar slash dirty Euro trance. That's me.
I like that.
That's good.
Yeah,
Jake?
yeah.
He kind of got me pegged. He said skater music, maybe hip hop and rap. Yeah, definitely. I feel like I've talked about like hip hop and stuff, like how much I like that.
Yeah.
And then like I like, Black Flag, Misfits, like stuff like that quite a bit. But I also like Green Day. Like I like fun
Hell
like
yeah.
mainstream shit. Like I actually like Green Day's 1000 Hours, like early shit, really good when they had like a different, like the band was different and everything. But I also like, I really like the Carpenters. The Carpenters is like
Karen
literally
Carpenter's a
Karen
beautiful
Carpenter
voice.
is incredible, and I get like so like on another like level when I listen to their music. And it's like on the surface you'd be like, why does he like that? It's like the corniest 70s music you can imagine, but her voice is incredible, and I've always just loved it. I also really like I, especially as I've gotten older, I've really gotten into like Dean Martin, Frank Sinatra, like all that stuff. Like that's
Absolutely,
like my
man.
go-to now. Like when I'm like
So good.
cooking or eating, like I just put on stuff like that. And then rap, I really, for me growing up, it was like the Blueprint, not from Jay-Z, Nas, Illmatic, and then getting into like Tribe Called Quest, Eric B and Rakim, probably my favorite of all time. Biggie, you know, stuff like that. That's me.
Love that.
But then also I really like U2. I've seen U2 live like
Whoa.
4 times, and people are always, whenever I tell people that, they're like, what the fuck is wrong with you? And I'm like, I don't know.
No, to be fair though, like they do, like obviously YouTube became a massive meme and whatever else, and it is like,
yeah, I get it. Believe me, I get it.
They had some. They've had some great.
They've had
songs.
some incredible songs, and they were absolutely the biggest band in the world for a time. You know,
and
before,
War
like,
is still like one of the greatest albums ever. It's incredible.
Which one?
A lot of them. War, the one with the boy's face, really good.
Yeah,
There's so many are
absolutely.
good.
Totally agree.
I don't know if I have any that surprising. Like obviously, I love Nine Inch Nails. My love for is well documented at this stage. My favorite album of all time is Kick by INXS.
Cool. Okay.
That is cool. I always like that about you, how much you like INXS. I feel like that's very interesting. That's a fun fact.
Yeah. I used to have a cat named Kick. If I could go back in time and watch any show ever, it would be Wembley 91 for INXS. That show, they put it out on 4K Blu-ray, and it is insane. Like it is an unbelievable, like the energy, the performance, it's everything. I love INXS. I also enjoy the pop divas a lot. So I love Madonna. Like I love the pop girlies.
Sure.
Oh, I love it. Cher, I do at karaoke, just like Jesse James.
What song do you do?
Just like Jesse James.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Or I do Always by Bon Jovi. That's the other one I do.
Okay, cool.
Ralph has seen it. Ralph also saw me do Durch den Monsun by Tokyo Hotel in German.
Every word of that in German.
That's incredible.
Yep, that's right.
Love
that was...
yeah, weirdly enough, I do love Tokyo
That
Hotel.
was the karaoke bar that we went to that just had lots of hookers there for some reason.
We accidentally went to what was undeniably some front. It was not
100%.
Like, it wasn't even a karaoke bar. It was a TV with YouTube on it.
Yeah,
That's
it was
awesome.
so bad. And there was just
at one
hookers
point they came
waiting in the lobby.
They took all our alcohol.
Yeah, it was so crazy, man. It was.
That was a fun night. Anyway, what else? I mean, I like a lot of pop. I listen to. I mean, that's the thing is like Marcus had me pegged like Depeche Mode. I do love. I used to listen to a lot more like Misfits, Green Day, Rancid, Distillers. Oh, I was a big Slipknot fan when I was growing up.
Oh, okay, I can see that.
A very big Slipknot fan, and
Cool.
I was gonna go see them. They were at Leeds Festival, and then Joey broke his foot, so
what an asshole.
Missed that. But I did get to see Tenacious D, and I think that was also when I got to see Metallica. Metallica live was one of my favorite shows I think I've ever been to.
I was supposed to see the Beastie Boys. I was going to see the Beastie Boys front row the day before they announced that Adam was sick.
2009 was it?
They dropped out and they replaced his act. They replaced their act because it was a music festival. They replaced their act with Jay-Z, and it was Jay-Z in his prime. So it was like, okay, shit. And Jay-Z came out and was like, hey, like, shout out to the Beastie Boys. And he did No Sleep Till Brooklyn. And that was really cool. That was like wild to see.
Have you listened to Joey Valence and Bray, Jake?
No.
They're like the closest thing to like a Beastie Boys reincarnation.
Oh.
They, I really want to go see one of their shows. They
Actually,
have a lot of
Radom
cool
is also
energy.
quite important to me, to be honest. Rage Against the Machine.
Oh, I've
Big
never
time.
heard someone say Radom.
Really?
I haven't
Oh,
either.
okay.
Yeah, no.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, right.
I yeah.
I think another one that was always very important to me growing up was Milo Destroy Rock and Roll. I don't know if you guys ever like heard this one. Damn, man. That's like a stone cold classic. That one is like incredible. And he basically got marred in like lots of copyright and like band licensing rule like disputes after that. So his career never took off. But like that album was like, if you listen to that album, you'll be like, oh, I know this song. Oh, I know this song. Oh, I know this song. I had no idea it was this guy. It's that kind of thing.
Oh, Beck as well. I listen to a lot of Beck.
Sure.
Beck.
Yeah.
Yep. Hanson.
I'm trying to like look
Beck.
around the room, like what else do I like? Lamp.
Yeah.
No.
I was gonna say, like, if I look at my Spotify most played, my on repeat, it's all Health and Gunship at the moment. So right now I'm very much in more of an industrial.
Oh,
and then there's just On Melancholy Hill by Gorillaz.
Hell yeah, that's good. So I will say,
and Ween. I listen to a lot of Ween.
Oh, Ween. Yeah, sure.
I will say that I drive a lot and I have satellite radio and I like it because sometimes I'm like choice paralysis. So I'm like, I don't know what I want to listen to. So I have my stations. So I have like, I flip flop between like 70s, 80s, 90s hits, the hip hop stations, like the old hip hop stations, not the new. I don't really listen to anything new. And then I have 40s Junction, which is just old 1940s jams that I put on. And then there's Sirius XM Chill, which plays like chill EDM.
Yeah.
And I call it my Uber driver music. And I just put it on when I just want like thumping chill beats. That's my vibe.
That is about 80% of what I listen to because I need to work. I need music in my ears to work. And that is actually 80% of what I listen to is that like low beat EDM stuff is kind of like where I'm at always.
You don't need like lyrically complex while you're trying to concentrate on something.
If there's lyrics, I can't concentrate. So like the main thing I listen to is just like, Anjuna Deep is like it's offshoot label and it's just heaps of that shit, you know.
I listen to lo-fi covers of video game music, so Lo-Fi Leah and Slumbermon are two of my big ones. Oh, and Japanese city pop. I like a lot of Japanese city pop.
I think Stu's listening to that. I see it. I'm seeing Stu listening to all sorts of Japanese music in the Discord thing. It shows what people are listening to, and I think he's listening to the same thing.
Because you message me sometimes to be everything all right at home?
Everything deep in your feels, listening to some health song or whatever. Yeah.
Anyway, thank you for your question.
Yeah, that was a good tangent. That was nice.
All right, let's get into what we've been playing. Oh, Jelly, no. Sorry. She actually just like rubbed her face on the mouse and clicked on something.
Nice.
Come on. She might have asthma. Did I tell you this?
Oh no.
I gotta take her into the vet because she has these little coughs and they were like, oh yeah, it's an infection. Take all the medicine. And then she did. And then she was fine for like a day and then she started coughing again. So now I think she might have asthma.
Damn.
My little
she got COVID.
Well, she just knocked a lamp over. Just doing great.
What
have you been playing, Ralph?
Honestly, this week has been... Oh, well, actually, here's the truth. Okay, so I worked nonstop on the Clear Obscure video. And in addition to that, when I had time, I was playing Switch 2 just to put it through its paces and really get to feel... Because I was playing it on the plane ride back and forth from LA as well. But yeah, I was really focused on that. But playing a lot of stuff that I already played, seeing how the ports went, seeing what the experience was like with the console. We just had that conversation, obviously. So nothing more to add there. The only thing new that I've really been playing this week is I've started to play a lot more Magic the Gathering Arena.
Yeah.
That's like the app. You played it on a phone or something? How does that work?
Yeah, well, look, you can't really play it on a phone because it's not a good experience on a phone.
Okay.
It lasts me exactly the time it takes for me to leave my get on BART and then get to under the tunnel, under the bridge.
So
what do you mean it lasts? Like a game looks
lasts that long? It's like a game before I lose signal for a little bit.
Oh, okay, right. Yeah, it's more about like the cards and the way it's laid out. Like the cards are all so small on a mobile and the text on them is so important. You have to zoom in and stuff. It doesn't really work on a mobile. If you're going to play it, you're going to have to play it on an iPad or on a desktop PC, which is where I played on both of those. And, because I've been like started to play Magic in the last little while and I've been, just checking it out and whatever else. And it's a really good way to learn. because you basically, there's a lot of keywords in Magic, you know, like this creature has haste, and you're like, what the fuck does haste mean? Trample and all this sort of shit. You're like, whatever, but you can mouse over everything, and so it's actually a really excellent way to learn how to play. Plus, it also has all of these introductory modes that kind of force you to play with different decks and force you to play against bots, and then gently nudges you towards playing with other players. And the onboarding experience is actually pretty smooth these days, so long as you kind of surrender to it and just like trust it. It actually does teach you how to play, and it teaches you quite a bit. So that's good. I think the challenge now is that I've kind of gone through all the tutorial stuff, and I'm now playing what's called standard mode. And standard mode is, this is the thing. A lot of people will say, like, don't play standard, it's not good. And I'm understanding why that is now, because standard mode decks are, you either have the cards and you win, or the other opponent has their cards and they win, and there's nothing in between, because the decks are so strong that they just can immediately ramp, and then on turn 3, the game is over, because you don't have, there's the ability to actually respond to what your player, like the other player, is doing, is so limited in that format if they are playing one of those very quick ramp decks. And so I have really spent the last week playing standard and trying different decks and whatever else. And it's extremely easy for me to win standard when I play one of the meta horde, like meta decks that just like play all the best cards and you win. It's very, very unpleasant to play that mode when you are not playing that game, because there's no room for those other decks to breathe. You know what I mean? So I guess I'm going to stick with it, but I'm going to try other formats. And that's the journey that I want to continue on, because I do enjoy Magic. I do enjoy like the cards, and I do enjoy the setup. It really is very interesting, but the standard format currently fucking sucks. Like, it's a terrible experience. And I'm going to just explore other formats. So yeah.
Is this like a free to play? How does this work?
It is free to play. It's like slower to get cards, obviously, if you are doing that. So I always spend a little bit of money in the games, the free to play games that I play, because I believe in supporting developers if I'm enjoying their product. And so, I bought like the season pass thing, and that's really about it. And then you just kind of unlock challenges as you go. You get quite a few cards and decks to get started with anyway. And then it becomes very easy for you to craft cards that you need, that you're missing, because it's a very flexible card crafting system, which is good. So yeah, you can absolutely enjoy it as a free to play player. Absolutely. But I think, as I said, I'm still learning it. I have a lot to learn. And I know already that the standard format is not a place for me to learn more about the game, because there's the draft format is much more interesting, I imagine, where you have to like pull cards from, you open up packs of cards, and then you need to build decks and work that dynamically. However, you need to buy into the draft format every time using either the free earned currency or the paid currency, which makes it obviously, a more difficult way to play or whatever. So
yeah. Okay.
Look, either way, it's been a really nice journey to get into it. I still think Marvel Snap is a better card game if your goal is to play a game on the toilet.
Oh, okay.
Right? Because
I was wondering where that was going.
The structure of Marvel Snap is very conducive to 3-minute matches that do allow you to exercise a lot of strategy and outplay in a very short window of time. But the flip side to that is that the deck building potential of Marvel Snap is far less flexible, because there are fewer cards, and sort of channeled into a few play styles.
I agree.
So that's it, really. That's kind of all I've been playing. Very interested to hear what the comment section has to say about this, because I imagine a lot of people here play Magic, and they're going to have thoughts about what I've said. And I'm really interested to hear that, because as I said, I'm just learning it all, and that's it.
Yeah. I think I'm much earlier on in the learning journey than you, because I got to play at Summer Game Fest against Jordan Midler, and we were taught by someone from Wizards.
Yep.
And that was really like a good experience in terms of like teaching you the basic terms. And then I got the Sephiroth and Cloud deck thing that you've got, Jake, and they have a code. Yeah, that one. They have a code in there, so you can have those cards in Arena.
Oh, okay.
So I played against Jordan. Oh my God, he's gonna hate me for telling him this story, but played against him. He was Cloud, I was Sephiroth, and he had his Cloud out. He had just given it the sword, not the Buster Sword, but he gave it like a piece of equipment, and it was gonna absolutely kill me in the next round. And I was sat there, and Trick, the lovely guy who was teaching us, was like looking at me, and I was like, could I do this? And he just gave me this quiet nod. And there was, I can't remember the exact thing that I did, but Sephiroth has a card where it's him plunging. And that
doing
card,
the Aerith kill.
Doing the Aerith thing, yeah, that's it.
And that card takes out any, like, a specific creature. So I immediately took out Cloud with that card. And then I had another card that did something that basically every time a creature on his side died, I got a +1/+1 for Sephiroth. So my Sephiroth was so overpowered and I just killed him in one turn.
Yeah.
And the thing that I regret most is not playing One Winged Angel as I was putting Sephiroth on.
Yeah,
So that would have been an
You
incredible.
should have sung it, Lucy. You should have sung it.
Well,
So.
I should have. But no, it was just really fun. And I have been just really enjoying getting into it. And I think the onboarding on the app is good enough that I'm just like, I've had that experience in person, but I can just play. And it's fun. And the cards are great. I did a little unboxing of I didn't film it. I just opened a pack. What am I talking about? An unboxing. But I got a fat chocobo card that was great. And every time I get anything from 12, I really enjoy it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's like me with 8. I'm like, oh my god, a scorecard! Yeah, let's go.
Yeah.
So I actually cracked a bunch of packs before I left because I wanted to get a Clive so I could get Ben to sign it, but I didn't get a Clive. I was so mad.
Oh well,
extremely upset.
I was chatting to him today, so I messaged him and I was if you find a Clive, can you sign it for me?
I blame him. I blame Ben Starr for me coming home from summer game because like I watched him just open a pack of cards and I was like, this looks fun. They're shiny. I want some because I'm just a stuffed goblin. So I bought a bunch of this shit just to look at pictures.
Ben was doing card openings while we were hanging out.
I think while we're recording this, actually, he's in Vegas for the Magic Con.
Yes, he rang me as he was walking around Caesar's Palace, and he was like, "This place is mental."
Excellent.
He's having a nice time. Love Vegas. Anyway, so Magic the Gathering.
Magic the Gathering. Let's Switch 2, and that's all I got.
Jake, I really want to hear about Mindseye.
Mindseye. Let me tell you about Mindseye. I don't want to even spend a lot of time on this because I don't think it deserves the time.
Let's go.
We had an intern start at work this week, and literally the first thing he had to do was capture Mindseye footage for the review. And I was like, "Is this allowed?
Welcome to the shit."
Yeah, welcome to games.
That's mean. That's bad. Meanwhile, I'm over here, my senior 10 years, and it's me just grinding through a fucking entire game. Mindseye is not good. I was just so fascinated because it's a game that I'm like coded to like down to my DNA. Single player game, heavily story focused, lots of cutscenes, cool action. You're a guy with a gun. You know, it's not even long. Like all that stuff. And even maybe it could have been like this thing where it becomes like this underrated thing. It's not even that. Like it's not an Order 1886. It's nothing like that because it just feels so cynically made. It feels I said in my videos, it feels like it was made out of obligation. It feels like it was like, oh shit, we gotta come up with something. Because the story to me didn't feel like it had any reason to be told.
What is the story? I don't know anything about it.
Something to do with aliens, right? Isn't there aliens in this story?
Yeah, there's aliens in the end. Spoiler, kind of. You're a guy. You're a ex-soldier drone pilot guy who his drone gets like zapped by this mystical power, and he's been searching for answers to like what happened. So he goes to this fake futuristic Las Vegas that is basically controlled by like a tech oligarch and like a fake Tesla type company to figure out what's going on and get to the bottom of it. And you engage in, you know, it's more of it. What it should be is more of like a Mafia, right? Where it's like this.
Well, isn't it the guy from Mafia?
It's the guy from Mafia 3 who once again shows a game that falls short of, I think, his talent. I think he's really great. And I thought his performance in Mafia 3 was the best part of the game. But here he's got nothing really to work with. But it's Mafia-esque in the sense that it's a big city that mostly serves as backdrop. It's not an open world game. You're not driving around doing side missions and stuff. There are a couple of side missions. They're utter dog shit. Sorry.
Nice.
But yeah, it's the problem is it plays like really it feels like an old clunky third person shooter. He
But
doesn't have
not
a
even
melee.
in a way that's endearing.
No. And I love a throwback game, and I love simple, dumb games. He doesn't have a melee. He doesn't have like grenades. He doesn't have a dodge roll. The cover system is like sub Uncharted 1 in terms of feel.
Yeah.
The guns are nothing to write home about. The driving has decent moments, even if the physics are kind of like thrown off. But the game feels so designed just to justify existing with nothing else. There is no fun factor to any of the components. You get a drone because the game is all tech focused. Nothing you do with the drone is fun. The driving, there's like 2 good car chases, but then after that, there's nothing with the driving that is fun. It is just drive from A to B. And every mission is on the opposite end of the map.
Right.
So you have to drive for a long fucking time through this city that looks very gorgeous, but you can't really interact with it.
Right.
And there's like AI generated character dialogue. Like characters will call you and yap about the plot. And
Oh god.
Right. Hang on. Is it actually AI generated, or are you just saying it feels like that?
It sounds like it. It really sounds like it from some of the characters, not all the characters.
Okay.
But then also it makes you drive these long distances, right? The game has, a little GPS in the map, which barely works, by the way. But also when you're in interiors, that screen is just there. And it doesn't show you interior maps. It's just a blank square. It's insane. Anyway, there's a lot of weird stuff like that. But
God.
So the GPS, when it shows you your destination, it'll show you like, how many meters or whatever till you get there. But it also has a number, like a real GPS, that is the timer. So it tells you how many minutes to drive to your destination. So you'll see all the time how much this game is padded out, because you'll see, oh, I just drove to here. Like I got a mission. I drove to the mission. It took me 4 minutes to drive to that mission in real time. Then I finished the mission. The game wants me to go back to where I got the mission, drive another 4 minutes.
Such bullshit.
Of just monotonous driving. All the while, the game has a lot of, in games, you'll have NPCs chime in over your radio to kind of nudge or guide the player towards doing something. Hey, you should get over there soon. We're going to be heading out. Like just those will click in. Yeah. This game has that constantly,
right?
When you are not timed, but you just have to go to the next place. But the game puts you on that straight path. It's basically a linear game. So you're driving full speed down a highway. The GPS marker says it's still gonna be 3 minutes till you get there. And all the while you have characters piping in, yelling at you to get there faster. And it's such an aggravating experience. It's so weird. Top to bottom.
Bizarre.
It's not fun. That's the problem. It's Watch Dogs, but not good in terms of like, oh, what if technology was crazy? It just, again, it feels like it exists. Like it feels like it was made just to be made. And
I feel like, because what it's so weird that the whole Everywhere platform has been quite divorced from the way people talk about this game. Like I see it just reviewed on its own merits rather than being reviewed in the context of Everywhere.
Because last minute it felt like they tried to divorce this from Everywhere.
Yes.
So it's like, what?
Everywhere is a user generation content platform that they have spent like hundreds of millions of dollars to stand up.
And over 5 years.
Over so many years. And it's like, it's so far, who knows about it? Nobody. And, and it's competing literally with Roblox and Minecraft and Fortnite and all these other like user generated content platforms, which are massive and have so much momentum behind them. And, they're trying to do their own thing. And it's kind of like, so I suspect they kind of just like wanted to make this game to sort of, I don't know, show what you could do with those tools. And the truth is that you obviously can't do much with them because the game seems to suck. Like, do you know what I mean? Like if this was going to be the thing where you're like, hey, look what you can do. Like you really have to make sure that it's a good showcase. But yeah, I mean, like, I wonder what happens to this guy's studio and what they're working on right now, because this thing is like bombed so spectacularly that, there has to be some kind of like repercussions. And if I was an investor and I was looking at this, I'm not going to like double down on my investment and think, oh yeah, you got this. You know what I mean? I'm going to be like, well, it's been fun. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's been interesting to play through it, especially like right when it launched, right? And the discourse is immediately, haha, look at the glitches. Look how bad the glitches are. That's nothing, man. Like that, I don't care. Like while people were like retweeting like the glitches and the memes, I'm just like in my basement just playing through the entire game, miserable because the game had no fun factor. Like it didn't, there was no reason for it to exist. And that to me is a bigger problem than anything. And I think where a lot of quote unquote bad games, you'll always find people like that'll chime in and defend it. Like, I liked it. But with this game, I really like when I see people being like, oh, you're all wrong. It's actually pretty cool. It's not that bad. Like, I really feel like it's just to be counterculture.
Right.
Like, I really don't think there's a lot of defensible things with this game at all. Other than the city. The city actually is a cool, fun, futuristic recreation of Las Vegas. Yes, it has not a lot of
actual like casinos or anything that we know landmark.
They don't use real ones, but they have like where like the Aria would be. They have like the Wynn or the Vague Wynn. They have the pyramid. They have the Sphere. All that. But what I really like is that it also has a lot. It's one of those game worlds that like acknowledges that like some of the world is boring. And there's just parking lots and shopping centers and parking lots and shopping centers. And I like that. I'm like, oh, that's like where I live. Cool. It's real. But yeah, you're not doing anything in those. So it clearly felt like Red Rock City, this city was built with the whole platform thing in mind. But it's just, it's just really Mindseye, unfortunately, from plot to gameplay to everything just felt like a waste of everybody's time.
Yeah. I also like really arc up when publishers like fucking pull bullshit. You know what I mean? Like there were no review codes going out for this at all.
No.
Right.
No.
And they'd send us an email like the day before being like, due to limited allocation, we're not able to provide. And I got that email, like a whole bunch of other people I know got that email. And it's like, that's IO Interactive publishing, by the way. Like that's them doing that. And I really would have expected better from IO. It's like, okay. And that's one of the things I go back to with like Saints Row, for example, where Saints Row reboot sucked. No one's going to argue that point, right?
Yeah.
But the publisher, PlayOn, were really straight up. They gave us previews. They let us see the game. They gave us review code early. And they're like, cool. They played it a really straight bat. And that ultimately, I think, I definitely take that into consideration when I like review a title. I'm like, well, okay, you're being really transparent about this. And so while this game is not good, and I'm going to say that, I also appreciate the fact that you've been honest about it, right? Whereas like I think in situations like this, when publishers are like really specifically trying to pull the wool over people's eyes and like do that shit, whatever goodwill we might have been able to manage and muster in that moment, it just evaporates. It's kind of like, well, fine. If that's how you're going to play it.
This had like the air of like some sort of like, like with it being tied to the everywhere thing, and with the game when they first showed it off, it like looked too good. Like it didn't look, it was very like
suspiciously good.
It's like, is this like an NFT scam? Like what the fuck is this? Is this one of those things from those types of people? Like not to be flippant about it, but
no, for sure.
Meanwhile, while that game sucked up so much airtime, you have games like the Alters release, which I argue is like the antidote for people who think like every game is the same. I'm bored of all these video games. It's just sequels and remakes. The Alters is just a really cool idea. I've had a lot of fun playing it. We interviewed Alex Jordan, the main actor, in the last episode. But I think it's a really good time. It's a really cool game. I think it's a great idea. Essentially, for people listening, it's like Fallout Shelter, but heavily story based with a lot more survival and RPG mechanics and dialogue, and then 3D exploration and resource gathering and like a little bit of like Death Stranding kind of building and connecting type things. I think it's really cool.
And Alex plays 11 versions of the same character.
Yes.
Which is
and
super cool.
Amazing.
So what I like the most about that is it's impressive, right? Like from a technical standpoint, from an actor standpoint, from a writing standpoint, from everybody putting it together, right? And even like whether or not it like lands for some people, whatever. For me, I actually really liked, because it's a character where you have to talk to these characters and manage all these characters, I really liked figuring out the little differences and how you should respond to them. Because one of them, like they all have their own like little things, like some are touchy, some appreciate you just being blunt and choosing the to the point answer. The scientist, clearly, like you start to pick up that like if you stroke his ego, you can get him to go along with things. And it was so fun to like figure out those nuances because it wasn't necessarily tutorialized and it's not super in your face. So it was really fun for the to just kind of unfold. I really like that. It's also hard. It can be pretty challenging in terms of like the resource stress stuff. Yeah.
I would not have guessed that.
I didn't find it as hard as some people. I spoke to some other people that have really struggled with it.
Wow.
But it has some moments because
it just seemed like, looking from the outside in, as like a narrative story where you had this kind of gameplay model that was always designed to let you succeed so you can move on to the next story beat. But you're saying it's not like that. There's like failure states.
Yeah, because you can piss them off enough where they can ultimately decide to revolt, like where they're like, we got to get rid of this one. But also every day you have to eat, and because you're on a space station on an inhospitable planet, the space station is constantly being beaten on. So you need to always be repairing modules. You need to craft filters to filter out radiation so everyone can live and breathe in it. Your guys will go insane if they're not like, catered to, if they can eat, if they can sleep properly, because sometimes you're going to need to work harder, like force them to work overtime because a geothermal storm, like an electromagnetic storm is coming in. There's quite a bit to it, and it's cool.
I really want to get back to it. I started it just before SGF, and then with the chaos of everything, but I really dug the demo when I played it last year, and thrilled that it's getting good reviews. Hey, 11-bit. Another
really good reviews. Game. It's like it's an 86 on OpenCritic. It makes it one of the highest rated releases of the year. There's not a lot of spread in those scores in the sense that everyone agrees that it's a good video game. Yeah. Like it's done really well for itself. And like the more I speak to people about it, the more they're like, dude, you gotta fucking play this. And I'm like, yeah, absolutely.
That was my summer Game Fest game. Everyone I talked to at Summer Game Fest, I'm like, what are you playing? They're like, this. I'm like,
play this instead.
I'm like, the Alters is fucking sick, man. I'm telling you, reviews are going to drop and people are going to be like, what is this game?
Yeah.
And I was kind of right. Yeah, it's cool.
That's excellent. It's so good.
I played a few demos. So I already talked about Eric's Home a little bit. I played the Baby Steps demo.
Cool. Yes, please tell me. This is the gross dude game.
Yeah.
The diaper man walking game.
I mean, first of all, it starts out, you're in a dark room and your parents are yelling at you and you're a 34-year-old man. And on the TV, it says, are you still watching One Piece?
Oh my God.
And there's a bunch of rubbish and stuff on the table. And then, you go into...
Oh my God.
It's a fun time. So it's one of the creators is the guy behind Co-op. Yep. Jelly, my God. She's going to town on that chair again. It creates a co-op. And so you are a maladjusted perpetual child, still live with the parents. Clearly from the setup, you've not really got a lot going on. You don't contribute to the household. And you wake up and find yourself at the bottom of a hill. And you basically... you have to, it's sort of co-op light controls. So you push forward to move forward, push forward to push yourself forward, but you have to control your legs. Right trigger is right leg, left trigger is left leg.
So if you just push forward, do you just fall over?
You do. You have, there are jiggle physics on his ass.
Hell yeah.
Just what I want.
It is
Stellar Blade all over again. Yeah. This is just like Stellar Blade.
It is so funny when he falls over because he is so pathetic. And then, he's got like the jiggle physics on his ass. And as you are kind of climbing up the hill as well, you get the sweat patches and you get your sweat on the arse and the lower back.
That's so real.
So
I can feel it right now.
Yeah. The swamp butt. So you get the physical comedy from that, but then there's also a character that you meet, and the demo is only about half an hour long. It's not a huge thing. And then you meet this other character and you have a very weird, irreverent conversation where he's trying to help you and you just kind of go, oh no, I gotta pee. Like you can't even function in talking to another human being. And then you're navigating those controls and trying to climb up a hill, falling down, there's little quests and stuff I assume later on. I did see a thing where it was like, I've lost this thing, can you find it and bring it? There was one point where I was climbing up the hill and you get into a rhythm with it quite quickly and quite easily.
Would you say it's the Dark Souls of walking simulators?
Say it.
No, I refuse. It's
Damn it.
the
We were so close. It would have
I
been
think
such a good grab.
I think Quap is. I think this is more Elden Ring in terms of how to move around. Anyway,
Nice, Lucy. Well played.
thank you. Good
That's
save.
good.
Good save. And so there's things hidden around and like little quests and that kind of thing. I assume there's things to find, but in terms of just a funny experience, I'm interested to see how the whole thing comes together. But yeah, that was a fun demo for baby feet. Baby steps. Baby feet
Baby
is
feet.
Ew.
baby feet is the thing that I use on my feet to get rid of all of my dry skin.
Okay.
You haven't used.
That's
Wait,
the
hold
peel.
on.
That's the peel,
The
right?
peel. Yeah,
Yeah.
I told Jake about this for sure. Did I tell you
Yeah, I
about
gotta
this?
do it.
Oh,
It's-
I'm
it's-
good. I'm okay.
The
Fine.
little. You basically put your feet in these little plastic socks
Right.
full of fruit acid, and
Okay.
then you leave it on for an hour, and then nothing happens. And then after 7 days, a girl comes out of the TV. No, and after 7 days,
Oh my
all of the skin, all of the dead skin on your feet just comes off.
God, this
is-
sounds disgusting.
This is no. I'm gonna
Like
say
you're the
something.
lizard from Spider-Man.
This is so disgusting. I took a sock off to show my friend, and there was a cloud of dead skin dust, and he just went.
Oh
he
my
just went,
God.
"What the?"
Jesus
that?"
Christ.
However, when it's done, you do have little baby feet.
I don't want little baby feet.
Well, they don't shrink, but you know what I
I don't
mean.
wanna
All the dead
think about-
skin's off.
I don't want to think about this anymore. This is a lot.
I'll talk about other games that I've been playing.
Yeah.
Who cares?
Oh, yeah.
I finished in one sitting. There's a game called Please Touch the Artwork, and
Oh,
they
yeah, I
just
saw that one.
revealed Please Watch the Artwork, which is coming
Yeah.
out I think later this year. It was a really great point and click adventure game where you are playing as this little skeleton who walks quite morosely with his arms behind his back, and you walk through
Like a dad at a
various
car
paintings.
dealership or whatever.
Yeah, you walk through paintings done by this one artist, and it's a really nice exploration into this particular artist's, work. I'm not a big art enjoyer. I don't really know my.
Is it supposed to be Mondrian?
Is that
'cause
the
that's what
name
it
of
looks
the
like.
artist?
It looks like it.
Yes, probably.
Like the color scheme.
I'm googling.
It's like Piet.
Yes, I think it is.
Mondrian.
See, art enjoyer. Oh, the first one is Mondrian. Yes, the first one is, but the second
Finally.
one is someone else.
Yeah.
And so you go through the paintings, and then you have to find a certain number of items, and it's a standard hidden object painting, and it's really good. I finished it in a couple hours. It was quite just like a really nice time.
This
Little
looks
humor.
awesome.
Yeah, it's
The
great.
second one is like a completely different style of art.
Yeah, so the second one is one I played, and
It's
I
kind of like
really enjoyed it.
impressionist. Oh, this is so cool.
So for art enjoyers there. I think the big hit, I also played Disco Elysium on mobile, but I don't really have much more to say about that. I made a video on GameSpot that'll hopefully be up by the time this is up, because basically the whole thing about that game was it's Disco Elysium to captivate the TikTok user. And like basically
That sounds awful.
Tall order.
well,
Yeah.
the thing is that the port is very good because
I've
it
heard
actually,
that, yeah.
the port is very good, but it sent me into a spiral into how the internet has ruined our brains and our attention spans. So that's.
But don't you
more
want a game like Disco Elysium to do something like that for you? Get you thinking like that?
I actually think so. But I made a whole video about it. It was kind of like a cathartic little, I want to talk about how shit the internet is moment. But my big game that I want to talk about this week, it's the demo of Consume Me, which was on Steam Next Fest. So I didn't realize it. I actually saw Consume Me at Day of the Devs in 2018. It was one of the games that was showcased when they showed, they had, I just moved here. There was an event and they put it on at the Alamo Theatre. And then at the GDC Awards this year, it won the Seamus McNally Grand Prize and the Nuovo Prize as well. And so I kind of didn't even piece together it was the same thing, but it's coming out later this year. You play as this girl, you're a teenage girl, you are trying to have it all, and I don't think I've ever been as affected by a game in terms of the subject matter that was presented, how it was presented, and how it uses gamifying mechanics to make you live through this character's experience. So she is like a teenage girl, lives at home. She's trying to lose weight. She has a crush on a boy. She's trying to do her chores, earn money, keep on top of things at school. And so it does, I will actually say at this point, I will be talking about like disordered eating, and I think if you have any sensitivity to that about listening to or experiencing any of that kind of stuff, I would not play this game. There is a content warning in the game, but it's basically like, you know, kind of growing up as a teenage girl, especially one. So I was always thin, so I could eat whatever I wanted. And I certainly would fall into patterns of disordered eating in terms that I would just binge food because I could and I wouldn't put on any weight. But then as I would get older, your body changes, your metabolism changes anyway, and you kind of fall into that trap of, oh, I'll do calorie counting, or I'll work out, or whatever, you know, or I'll download what do you call it? What's that app where you log all your food, Lose It or whatever, and it just shows you your macros and whatever. So this game follows this girl as she's trying to lose weight and continue on with her life. And it is, the way it's done is very quirky, very irreverent, very, like, it's darkly funny. They make a game of it where she says, oh, in order to lose this much weight, they don't actually use an actual measurement for weight, which I think is a very clever move. It's like, I just need to have this many, you know, fake calories. So she'll have a plate, and it'll be basically like a game where you have to fit shapes. The food are shapes, and you have to fit them all in. And so if you go over, then you're over your calorie limit, or if you're under, then you are under and you've done well and you will lose weight. And, you know, when you have your next weigh-in, which is kind of this milestone that you're looking towards, that's good. You also can do things like chores, or you have to read books and you earn money. And then, you know, there's a whole thing where you bump into this boy who lives in your apartment building. You have a crush on him and you want to lose weight to impress him. And so it touches on all these things that when I was growing up are just kind of inherently placed on you. So even as you're trying to find your place and your way in the world, you have all of these external expectations that then become very internalized. And the way that this game is put together, I would say structurally, it's more like a Persona game. Not that you're going into dungeons, but the way that the day is laid out for you. And then you'll have free time. And that's the kind of the key thing, where at the end of the day, you can choose to work out. You can choose to do a chore. You can choose to doom scroll and do nothing on your phone. So it kind of gives you that agency. But one thing is abundantly clear. You cannot and do it all, and you cannot have it all. I think Consume Me, it's a good, you know, hour or so of the game. I was so impressed with it. It made me think about all those things that I have internalized about myself and how I feel and my connection to my body. And I think it is a very important game. And I hope that the full package does the same thing. Because they did say that it's like, you know, it's not going to be all about that. That's not going to be the whole game.
Sure.
But I think it's deeply funny. Like
it looks zany, like just like
zany.
The animation style. Like
yes. It's really cool, and I'm really glad to see a lot of people have been playing it. I definitely want to shout it out here because, yeah, I don't think a game has made me feel that way. And to be clear, it has not made me feel bad about myself. It is more, oh, wow, okay, this is showing me all the stuff that I was going through, and I'm experiencing it through a different lens and through a more worldwide lens, you know?
Yeah.
So
am I off base in saying it almost like, with all the little gameplay scenarios, it almost like reminds me of like WarioWare with like storytelling?
Yes.
That's
a little bit
really cool.
Yeah, so when you're walking the dog, for example, that's one specific kind of mini game where you're trying to avoid poop on the floor, but also trying to see if you can pick up any money that people have dropped.
That's
or
life.
when you're doing, my favorite is the workout mini games, because it's basically sort of like, you know, when you would play iToy and you try and get yourself into certain positions or whatever, it's basically that.
Right.
And then the food mini game is such a clever conceptualization of how it feels to be hitting macros and hitting calories and making sure that you're full. Because that's the thing, if you if you leave certain spots empty, then you will get hungry later, and then you will basically ruin your day because you have to eat like a bag of chips or something to fill you up. It's a very smart game. Smart. And they've been working on it for a very long time. And actually, I follow one of the developers, the main developer, Jenny, on TikTok, and she shares a lot of old concepts and how the game has changed over time. And that's a really fun follow. And yeah, I'm really like the fact that they won the Seamus McNally Grand Prize is huge. So definitely one to keep an eye on. I think the demo is still up. It was in Next Fest.
It is. Yeah, I'm looking at it here.
Yeah.
This is
much more thoughtful game than we typically discuss on the podcast.
Yeah.
Sorry for getting hashtag.
No, I mean
real.
It's like it's fascinating, and I mean I'd never even thought about it. I never even heard of it. Sorry, and I'm actually really interested to check it out now because that's a really interesting spin on what is.
Yeah, thanks for that. This is why you're here. You always manage to find these interesting games that completely fly over my head.
Just like, don't you guys agree Destiny is not in a good spot right now?
Thanks, guys.
Sure.
Have we been playing anything else?
Jake,
you've been playing Firebreak?
Yeah, I've been playing FBC Firebreak. This is Remedy's kind of co-op PvE shooter.
Which we had fun when we played a couple months ago.
Get some rough reviews, man. Real spread.
Yeah, I don't completely disagree with a lot of the issues. I think that you kind of need to put a little time into it because at first you're like, "There's nothing in this game," but it's like you have to play through and unlock a lot of the stuff. The problem is, as for me, the objectives that you have to do aren't as endlessly replayable in terms of fun factor as I would hope. So by the time I unlock better stuff, or I unlock the third tier of the next thing, or I unlock the modifiers, I'm at the point where like I don't want to go back and do those same objectives again.
Right.
I think that it is fun in short bursts. Like I like how they set out to just kind of do this humble offering. It's not like this insane live service bullshit. It's pretty simple. I actually wish there was more Control and Remedy fan service in it. Like
that was my fear when we went. That
I understand why they like step back from it. There's some stuff there, but like I understand why they step back from it. But I can't help but wish there was more.
Sure.
I think $40 on Steam is a little tough.
You think so? That's
such
an interesting, because I've seen that a lot actually.
Yeah.
And people are saying like, $40, man, this is too steep. And I'm like, no, man, like for a game, there's no is there microtransactions, in-game currency stores?
There's like one thing you can buy that's like a pack with like
like a pack, sure.
Yeah.
It's like a full
there is
complete,
a deluxe edition.
Yeah, it's like a full complete game. It's a shooter. I mean, obviously I haven't played it. I've only played a little bit at some games actually, but that price point doesn't seem to be like egregious. It's not like they're charging $60 for this thing.
No, it's not the worst. It's just for me, after 2 days of heavy playing.
Yeah.
I was like
solo or co-op?
Co-op.
Right.
I was like, okay, I'm good. I saw it all. I had fun, but like I'm good. I can see there's like, okay, I can unlock more stuff. I can play a little more, but like I think I'm good. Like it's cool. I saw it. So I think if people dive into it on a PlayStation Plus or an Xbox Game Pass, if they have those subscriptions, they'd probably be into it for a little while.
Sure.
I don't think it's as bad as some of the reviews are making it out to be. I just think it's a shorter experience. It's an experience I liked playing for the time being, but like I moved on from. I will say that playing it with a friend was much better because solo I didn't really like it, but also playing with randoms, there's no in-game chat or any type of text chat or anything. So
pings?
There are pings, yeah. But that's the very simple ping system. But yeah, I still think it's worth checking out if like you like those types of things, because it's like a combo of Left 4 Dead, Deep Rock Galactic, Helldivers, Power Wash Simulator. Like that's a good combination of things. That's a good bunch of things to be inspired by. So if you're interested in kind of like poking around in that and you like Remedy stuff, I still say at least, give it a little shot. And I'm curious to see how they support it and how they update it. Because if they do if it does have enough audience and they keep going with it and change things, tweak things, modify some things, I'm curious to see how it is in 6 months. Because little things like, you don't unlock your ult, like the ultimate attacks, until like the 3rd tier of the unlock tree.
Oh.
And you're like a substantial amount of hours into the game, depending on how you play. That, so like little things like that, like tweaks to progression and I'd like to see that. But overall, I'm just curious to see how it goes with player feedback and what they take into account. And because there is some cool shit there, like the sticky note boss.
Oh, sticky
is a sight to
I did him
behold.
at some
Sticky
games.
Ricky.
He's cool.
Yeah.
A sight to behold when you first come across that thing. It's
absolutely.
like it's like seeing Sandman, but like made out of sticky notes. So
the actual Sandman, not the Dream Man,
not the Neil
Dream.
Gaiman man,
but
Well,
the Neil Gaiman man.
Well, season 2 of that show.
I haven't watched the show actually. I just read the comic.
I haven't watched the show yet.
I thought the show was
You
actually a really good interpretation of it. I liked it.
Yeah, because you're a big Sandman guy, right?
Me?
I am.
No, Lucy.
Was.
Lucy
Am I
was the
anymore?
Oh, well, yeah.
Yeah.
That's right, yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, the audio series was really good.
The audio series was amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, what have we done that's not gaming?
Not gaming.
Not gaming.
What have I done? Oh man, I'm gonna be straight up and say that I haven't done anything. I mean, as soon as I got back from Summer Games,
Just enjoying life.
just no working.
No.
Just fucking working, man. Like I haven't done
Yeah.
anything
Enjoying
other
life.
than work.
Yeah, same.
I literally have not watched because I finished watching Andor, which we haven't really spoken about yet. No one else has watched it. Jake, have you watched season 2?
Yes, I just finished today.
Unspeakably good.
Yeah.
Like,
oh, yeah.
Just disgustingly, unfairly
Yes.
good. There is like a deep pain knowing that we are never going to get anything that good in Star Wars ever again. It's done, baby. Like, nah, man. Look, happy to be proven wrong, but like, I'm almost certain that that's it. You know, because apparently they spent $600 million making that shit. You know, and I don't know if they're going to get their money
It
back
looks
on
like it.
Yeah,
It certainly looks like it.
It is.
Then they gave the Obi-Wan show $5. I'm so mad. Sorry. Anyway, sorry. I don't talk about Star Wars. Sorry.
That's right. But it is unbelievably good, and I just can't stop thinking about it. I just think it's amazing. I love it so much. And
also, season 2, probably the best Star Wars jackets I've ever seen. Coolest Star Wars jackets.
Yeah.
By a
Are they
mile.
the fashion is so cool. The whole
It
cast is so hot, man. So it's like they called Rebel Moon sexy Star Wars. I'm like, come on, man. You're off base here right now. Like, take a look at the Andor stuff. So yeah, incredible. And I honestly haven't watched anything since then. Because I was on the plane ride, I was playing my Switch. So I didn't watch any movies. When I got back, I was working, so I haven't watched any TV shows. Oh, that's a lie, actually. I'm nearly through season 1 of The Rehearsal.
Oh, me too.
Okay. Oh, great.
It is
Door City over here. Yeah.
Door
Did we even
City
talk
over
about
here.
this already? Like,
No,
I don't think
we
we
didn't.
have.
I think in real life,
It is
in person.
I
so
I waited
funny.
to watch it until all my flights were done.
I haven't finished season 1 up to the last episode, but it is unbelievable how funny it is. The entire setup for it is absolute insanity. I'm not sure if it's okay what he's doing in this.
Wait,
right?
it's season 1 or season 2?
Season one.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because season 2 is
That poor woman, that poor problematic woman.
That poor, deeply
terribly
problematic woman. So again, we won't spoil anything if you haven't watched it, but like it is I think it is good comedy in the sense that it actually makes you think about a lot of things.
Yeah.
And one of the things it forces you to consider is Nathan actually a fucking asshole for what he's doing and how he's doing it? And the answer to that is probably yes, but also it's really funny. So it's like you're deeply conflicted. But like as far as comedy goes, it's got that obvious like breakthrough quality where you're like, oh, okay, someone has figured out something new here and they have really understood how to like go all in on it. And it is so genius. It's genuine genius.
Season 2, some of the stuff he does in season 2, the Paramount stuff especially, is insane. And I really want to know how much budget HBO gave him.
Oh, yeah.
Because
all of the budget.
Oh, if you think he's
Do you want to know something surreal for me too? I used to go to the bar the real the
way!
alligator lounge. I used to just go to that bar because it was awesome because you could get pizza there.
Right.
And then all of a sudden I'm watching the show and I'm like, this is fucking crazy. And then the fact that they carry that over as a bit,
it's
unbelievable.
So yeah. But yeah, Door City over here.
Door City over here. That's
Door
right.
City over
That's
here.
right. It's days like these I curse the Chinese for inventing gunpowder. Like, maybe one of the greatest lines of all time in comedy. The entire setup for that line and what it meant and why it was being said.
How the guy said it. Yeah.
It's just unbelievable.
Did you guys watch Nathan For You back in the day?
No,
I watched bits of it, like clips later on.
Yeah.
I couldn't. The show he did with Emma Stone was
too much, man.
Too much for me. Like it made me just.
It was like Uncut Gems on like overdrive, just in terms of anxiety filmmaking. I can't do that, man.
In some way.
Yeah.
It was. I couldn't get through it.
But
and
season 2 of The Rehearsal, though, I'm excited for Ralph to see that.
I'm
both of you, because you're both.
I'm halfway through it.
Okay.
Yeah,
did you get to the Paramount stuff yet? The Paramount Plus?
Yes, no, that's the stuff that I mentioned. The Paramount stuff is.
I saw the clip of that online. Yeah.
God, it's really so funny.
God.
Super good.
Yeah, so I've been doing that.
That's me.
I finished reading The Virgin Suicides.
Classic.
Which I've never read before. I haven't seen the movie either. But it was really good. It's a book about there's a family with 5 daughters and they all kill themselves over the course of a year. And the story is told to you. It's kind of in a suburban neighborhood, post-war. So I think it's maybe 70s it's set. And the story is told from the point of view of a boy in the neighborhood. And the girls were basically like locked in their house at one point. They stopped going to school, but all of the boys were kind of like in love with them. And so it's about them yearning for these girls and wanting to help them and these girls in their weird life. And everything kicks off with one of the sisters killing herself. It's dark read. It's rough.
Yeah.
But I enjoyed it. And now I'm reading a book called Out, which is about a woman. It's a Japanese novel translated, and crime novel where a woman kills someone basically, and it's about her group of friends and they all work together and cover it up. But at the same time, I think he deserved it. So. Yeah, and also I saw Friendship.
What is
something
that?
that's cheery.
Was it funny?
What is it?
Yes, it's the Paul Rudd and oh my god, the I Think You Should Leave guy.
Tim Robinson.
Oh right,
movie.
nice. Okay.
And it is just like watching an extended I Think You Should Leave
Okay,
sketch.
excellent.
Like, not in the way that it's super zany, but it is. I think Tim Robinson. I just can't look at that man without laughing.
Yeah.
I cannot
He's got
ever
that.
imagine him in any kind of serious role. The faces that he pulls. It's Kate Mara plays his wife. And Paul Rudd is very, very funny, ageless, and it's just a weird, fun movie. It was also good because we went to see it, a few weeks after it came out. Relatively empty theater, but everyone there sort of knew the assignment. No one was on phones. Everyone was just guffawing, laughing.
Into comedy. That's cool.
Yeah, everyone was
good.
very into it, and we had a good time watching that one.
I saw Materialists. I was very excited to see this.
Oh yeah,
because this is the new one from Celine's Song. So she made Past Lives, which I think is probably one of the greatest movies ever made.
Was it? Oh,
Pretty
I didn't
sad, that one.
realize. Oh
Yes.
shit! Past Lives was.
gets you hard.
It's unbelievable. So this is not that. This is something totally different. This is like a 2000s schmaltzy romance movie, like cheesy cornball one, made by somebody that went to film school and like really can craft good shit.
Right, nice.
So it just kind of like it was weird. It was interesting, the angle. It just didn't like give me like a good cry or like a good emotional gut punch or anything like that.
Sure.
But really interesting. Also nice to see Chris Evans just like in a normal movie as a normal guy that's like, and it's like a good movie. but he's very Chris Evans still. So Chris Evans in this movie is supposed to play like a kind of salt of the earth guy, like East Coast guy, like trying to be an actor. Yeah, but he's broke, he's scruffy. Sometimes he says the wrong thing. But
do you buy that if it's Chris Evans doing that?
No, because he's always just like, oh, shucks, I guess you don't want to be with a broke loser like me.
That's just a really good impression.
Thank you. I'm the most handsome man on the planet. Why would anyone want to be with me?
Yeah,
I'm
it's
sorry,
so funny.
I knocked into you with my giant muscles.
But so it's the three things. So it's him, it's Dakota Johnson, who I still think is like weird, but like
I love her.
She's
so
interesting.
awkward.
Yeah.
I love her.
She's so awkward.
And then Pedro Pascal, who is Pedro Pascal.
Did you guys see the Pedro Pascal lookalike winner?
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
What, did you know who he is?
Yes, I do.
Yes.
He works
who
on
is
the
he?
Daily Show. What the fuck, man?
He's the lighting guy
really?
from the Daily Show.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Jon
funny.
Stewart interviewed him on the show because he won. And when you look, like, you really do have to do a double take and be like, is that No, it's not. Wait. Oh, no, it's definitely not. But there's a moment where you're like, you have to check, you know?
I like that he used that interview to put a call out to Pedro Pascal to say, hey, can my wife meet you?
That's awesome.
Fucked up, man.
That's so great. I love that.
She just really wants to meet you. I don't know.
Yes, well.
I've been really enjoying all the behind, like, obviously I think cast banter is very fun to watch, like, on screen, but to see the relationship that they have off screen where they're all menaces and they all clearly really enjoy each other's company, I think it's been some of the best, like,
Are you talking about the Daily Show?
Content.
of Pedro Pascal and Dakota Johnson and Chris Evans. They've been doing some really fun ones where they're just clearly having a very good time, which has been
cool.
nice. Which is the complete opposite of when Dakota Johnson had to do the freaking 50 Shades press tour, which was infamous for how much they clearly didn't like each other.
I recommend this material as like a date movie, or watch it at home as a date. It's not like
with my Magic the Gathering arena.
Yeah,
hell
exactly.
yeah, baby.
Yeah,
let's go.
Yeah. I don't. It's not like the most amazing thing I've seen. I don't think it lives up to past lives, but it is interesting, and it's nice. It's nice to watch it and talk about it after, because the whole thing is like she's a career woman. She's focused on material possessions and wealth, and she's a matchmaker. That's her job. And then suddenly, like, there's like a kind of like dark reality that hits about being a matchmaker, involving like heavy stuff, and it's just kind of interesting to see that play out and be discussed without spoiling anything. But yeah,
I do want to watch that. Well, that was a pretty packed episode, I think.
Yeah, a lot of stuff.
I like that every time we do this, we're like, we don't really have that much to talk about.
2 hours later.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, thank you everyone for listening or watching. We'll be back again in a couple weeks. Go watch Ralph's Claire Obscure video.
Yeah.
Should be live right now.
Let's hope it's live right now. Jesus, if it gets like
if it isn't live right now, I'm going to get in the
YouTube
comments and I'll be like, where's the
right.
Claire Obscure video? Go watch Jake's Mindseye video.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
No, because it bums me out, because like the negativity sells, and I don't do a lot of negative videos.
What is that, like 2 million views already, that one?
The before you buy, probably.
Yeah, I didn't say that's the one. That's how it goes.
Yeah, people were like, whoa, this one really got Jake. The comments are really funny.
About just now, I was like, damn, he's spitting.
Yeah.
It's just when it feels like that. Like, I don't know, like a regular bad game is a regular bad game, but like this is something else.
This is a bad game. It'll be a bad game forever. Shigeru Miyamoto.
I was gonna say, like, delay your game, fucker, or whatever the quote is.
You can go watch my Disco Elysium video that I hopefully have finished editing. But yeah, thank you for all your comments, and if you rate us on platforms, we do really appreciate it. It helps us out a lot. And we'll be back again in a couple of weeks.
We will.
Jake?
Did you start in the daytime and now you're like in the dark? You look like it's like a
I just
hostage
realized
video now.
how well I need a pair of curtains in here because my lighting always gets super impacted by the light outdoors. So that's
this episode's brought to you by curtains.com.
Yo,
curtains.com.
Curtains.com. Hit me up, dude.
Is that even a website? Don't go to it.
Yeah, it could
you never
be
know.
something awful. Anyway, bye.
Hey, listen, tie your shoes and go to bed. See you guys.